Chapter 500, Good Son. Chapter 500, Good Son. Crown Prince, believe it or not, I have never, not once, abandoned you. The Emperor spoke up, but all Crown Prince heard was the most outrageous joke ever, shaking his head. Never? You're still trying to fool me, even now? Your last Jubilee made your choice painfully clear. You gave old second-year men to keep the peace. You gave me a scepter, a symbol of power and fortune, to do as I wished. But tell me, which crown prince in our entire dynasty could do as he wished? When have you, imperial father, ever managed to do so? It was clear as day that you never cared for this crown prince. And what did you say to the fatty? No reward. Humph. Only the emperor doesn't need a reward in this world. Do you think I am dumb? Big brother, you've got all wrong. How can you jump to conclusions over some jokes and think that imperial father wants to throw you away? The innocent youngling stared back at him as Fatty remained silent with his thoughts the emperor's side. Crown Prince, is this why you kept sending assassins after your third brother? What? Youngling cried. Big brother went after third brother too? Crown Prince grinned while the fatty's face widened the emperor's side. I've known it for years. Crown Prince has sent his men again and again. Even as I had him go to Wingay City, miles away from the imperial capital, the killer was right behind him. And with the last Jubilee, the attempts only intensified. Your brother never once mentioned this, but I'm sure he was aware. Isn't it true, Tsonga? Yes, imperial father. Fatty spoke with resolve. The emperor smiled. Why haven't you told me? All I had was no proof and empty words. Fatty shook his head. The emperor praised. A real man shows patience, just like a monarch. Crown Prince, you said I favored your third brother, and you're right. But ever stop to think as to why? You're a stickler for formality and quick to anger. When going after an adversary, either finish him off the first time, or you might as well not try at all. In all of your frequent attempts these past years, not once have you prevailed. You are a sore disappointment. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth. Face ashen, Yoning watched her father lost. What are you saying, imperial father? You would just let them kill each other? This is why I kept you in the dark. The throne is singular, and the one to take it is the one to come out on top from the killings. He is the sole ruler of Tianyu, defender of the Yuan clan's domain. He sighed. I never could bear to watch the three brothers tear each other apart, but this is our fate, survival of the fittest. This will reveal the perfect candidate for the crown. Success is built on the bones of others, by killing with impunity, while the throne is created on a mountain of corpses. The fatty nodded, and Yoning was so overwhelmed that her tears never stopped. What kind of family is this? Father against son, son against father. Doesn't anyone have the slightest compassion? Clap. Crown Prince snickered. Imperial father, you make damn good sense. The sole survivor shall inherit the throne, which would be me. Since we're in understanding, imperial father, hurry up and make it happen. It should at least justify my assent. Ha ha ha. Crown Prince, when did I ever say you're fit for it? The Crown Prince spoke. Imperial father, you said it yourself. The last one to survive will be king. Now that I have dealt with everyone, even you, the throne belongs to me by right of heaven. I'm not finished. The emperor shook his head. Crown Prince, your methods are ruthless and had good timing, unlike your second brother. But you're just too fixed on your path, too narrow-minded to hold the weight of the lands on your shoulders. Not to mention your short gaze. Like I said, you can't see beyond your nose, unlike your third brother. What a load of crap. Why do I get the feeling that you're still testing our reactions, our policies? Crown Prince bristled. The emperor mocked. And that's where you are lacking. A ruler has his own reasoning, not jumping to conclusions about everyone's intentions. Following the monarch and going with the flow is how a lackey does it. An emperor needs to be firm, to have his own judgment, and you sorely lack in this department. Enough. You're breathing your last, so stop splitting hairs and give me Tianyu. Crown Prince flicked his hand. The emperor smiled. Crown Prince, you're not worthy. Guards to me. 5 radiant stage men landed before the Emperor. Crown Prince was unfazed. You've spared nothing in getting rid of Zhua Fan, sending even divine dragons and shadow guards. All that's left are the dregs. Men, get them. Whoosh. Behind him were 10 radiant stage experts. The winner was obvious just from numbers alone, although the Emperor kept his cool. Attack. His guards went for it, and Crown Prince's men reacted. The Imperial court became a maelstrom of auras. Emperor's guard fought tooth and nail, even at a disadvantage. Though they lasted only 15 minutes, Crown Prince grinned, his prize within sight. Yet the Emperor still had that unnerving calm. Yongning, turn the dragon head on the throne's left armrest and take the tunnel out of the city. I've already placed the Imperial seal inside. Just take it and flee to Commander Tauba. They should be on their way back from taking Wingay's city. Say you'll rescue the Emperor, and he'll help you. The only way to get his share of Tianyu is by having the agreement signed with the seal. He has to help you. Weak as he was, the Emperor showed his mettle. The fatty was overwhelmed by complex emotions. Imperial father. My time has come. I can only stall them. The Emperor smiled. Father. Yongning sobbed. Fatty saw the Emperor's loving gaze, and his insides twisted with indecision. Just as 2 guards fell, the Emperor said, puzzled, Songer, why aren't you going? You're not one to be so sensitive. Fatty spoke firmly. We don't need to go. Big brother can't win. The Emperor was taken aback. A white sword strike butted into the fight. Crown Prince's men lost their heads and spurted blood like fountains. Crown Prince panicked. A man in white, of impressive aura, and holding a green jade flute floated there wrapped in green flickers. Feng Xiaobai, why you're supposed to be gone? Imperial father sent you with the Chuanrong. Crown Prince gulped, then flicked his head over to the Emperor. Is this another one of your plans? The Emperor was just as confused. Mr. Feng, I didn't call for you. I did. The stunned Emperor met Fatty's beady green eyes. This day is also the first time I've acted. Master wanted to lend me support for a while. The Emperor shook his head. Soma, I have read many people in my life, had the world at my fingertips, but you're the last one I ever expected to elude me. Soma, you're truly my one good son. The Emperor spoke heavily, whether from excitement or anger. Chapter 501, Winner. Chapter 501, Winner. Fatty avoided the Emperor's gaze. Father, didn't you say to do it right the first time, or don't do it at all? Yes, the Emperor dulled. It was wonderful news that his son had surpassed him, but for the situation to devolve to this state had him forlorn among his sons. He knew them all inside and out, except Fatty, not because he was blinded with fatherly love, but because the kid kept everything too close to the chest for years and years. There was nothing the Emperor could pick on to even make a rough sketch. Crown Prince's greed and hypocrisy, second son's impulsiveness, all were easy targets for his ploy. Only his youngest son never left anything out until the very last moment. The Emperor would welcome his first 2 sons' attacks with open arms, having contingencies in place, of course, while his third son's move would come out of the blue, for sure. You knew about the Crown Prince's poisoning trick? The Emperor sighed. Fatty nodded. I had planted someone in his circle, but didn't the Imperial father know about it as well? With your cautious nature, the only way to get poisoned is if you let it happen by choice. What? Crown Prince and Yongning were shocked. The Emperor gave a bitter nod. I did know, but I was even more aware of how my body is waning one excruciating day after another. I realized that using Crown Prince's crimes today will be much better for paving your future. Crown Prince choked. Imperial father, am I not your son? Why are you using me for him? It's not using you, but simply guiding you. What happened today is because of your greedy nature. The Emperor snickered. You reap all you've sown. A saint is void of desire, though that is easier said than done. Fatty bowed. I shall take it to mind. No, it is I who should. The Emperor said. The last topic was to give the Crown Prince one last chance. He just had to give me a proper response, and I wouldn't have drank the poison. Would you have made the same choice, Tsonga? Fatty replied. Success is built on the bones of others. No, I would not. I knew I made the right choice. Always strike true or never strike at all. Even if it is your kin that stops you, you shall crush them with the same impunity like anyone else. That's what makes you a ruler. The Emperor praised. Crown Prince was bleeding inside. Princess Yongning watched it all with sightless eyes. before all coming back to her, and she raved, "You're insane. Everyone's insane." She ran away in tears and bumped into someone's wide chest. As she moved past, the man grabbed her. "It's been so long, princess, but your feisty nature hasn't changed a bit." The imperial family frowned at the familiar tone. Yongning raised her cute face, and welcoming her was Zhuo Fan's trademark evil smile, Zhuo Fan. Yongning jumped in his arms, crying for her life. The best steward beneath heaven froze there with a dumb look. Yin Shuang at his side was annoyed for some unknown reason, pulling at Yongning's clothes gently but firmly. "Yongning, what's wrong?" Yongning just hugged tighter and cried harder. The four tigers of Tianyu's mouth twitched. "What's with Marshall always getting the girls? We're no less cooler than him. Just because his martial title has the cool character inside, does that mean he's the catch?" Luo Yanhai held his head high and rolled his eyes. "At least my jealous sister isn't here to blow out." Only the elders took it in stride with a vague smile. Steward was a real Casanova. Too much, in fact. With the sobbing princess, Zhuo Fan was so lost that he had no idea what to do with his hands. Sighing, he knocked her out with a precise blow to the neck. His entourage froze stiff. Steward Zhuo, what are you doing?" Li Jingtian asked. Zhuo Fan handed Yongning over to the dumbstruck Yin Shuang with a shrug. "She's just too distraught. This is the only way to cool her down." "The hell?" Everyone sported dark faces. "Steward Zhuo is just too crude. One should treat the fairer sex with compassion. That goes double for the princess. Not rough him up like you." "Sir." The four tigers of Tianyu cried dry tears. "Why is it that a boorish brute gets the girls while we the handsome forget nada?" Smiley face. The character for handsome and cool can also mean general/commander. Yun Shuang took away her dear sister, but made sure to bore a hole into Zhuo Fan with her eyes. Though for some unknown and mystical reason, she didn't hate him for it. In fact, she was perkier. At least Zhuo Fan has no feelings for her. The scared, witless servants woke up at Zhuo Fan's call and took her away while he strutted into the hall of the mastermind. Tianyu's emperor soon came into sight. Time to end this. The emperor watched them come in with a stunned look. "I've lost completely." Fatty watched Zhuo Fan with a deep look. "Haha, your majesty, we meet again." Zhuo Fan saw the dark-faced emperor, poisoned obviously, and laughed. "What's this, a family squabble?" The men behind him chuckled. "If this is a squabble, then why are there bodies around? I dare not think what a power play would be like." Ignoring his biting words, the emperor said, "Your arrival means Tuoba Tieshan's defeat. My divine dragons and shadow guard won't be returning either, right?" "Bingo. I, for one, never leave loose ends." Zhuo Fan chuckled. The truth hurt, no matter how much the emperor foresaw it. All he could do was lament. He took a long time to say, "Zhuo Fan, I know all about you and Luo clan. You didn't have the power to succeed, so how?" "Ha ha ha, it goes on a show, in fact, that you know next to nothing about me." Zhuo Fan looked behind him, at his men, and they laughed too. Luo clan had been going about just as the emperor wanted, powerless to resist. Then Zhuo Fan spent mere days in building 100,000-strong army of war puppets against Tuoba Tieshan's millions, while letting loose Impermanence 5 on the beast-taming sex elders. Just these two aces alone had flipped the tables. Neither of them was a scenario the emperor could predict, no matter how much he brainstormed. Or that Zhuo Fan was with the demon-scheming sect. That last one would have helped the emperor come to a totally different plan. In fact, it would have made him throw his plan out the window for that matter, but through ignorance he planned it all, directed it all, and then lost it all. Zhuo Fan's men knew everything, of course, and laughed it out like winners. Lacking the details, but knowing the ending, told the emperor that Zhuo Fan had done something monumental to turn it around, and these were all steps Zhuo Fan took after knowing the board and its players the emperor's side. "You had it all figured out right from the start, even my deal with Chuan Rome, and made plans. Few people were in on it, and they were my most trusted aides." "How did you know?" Zhuo Fan put on a sadistic smile, pointing at Yin Shuang. "Just like your majesty, when in doubt, ask the high priest. Miss Shuanger is the help Yin Shuangji personally offered me, and with a little help from my fate-breaker self, I got to exploit everything. Ha ha ha." Yin Shuang blushed. her mind going to a certain event. Chapter 502, Glorified. Chapter 502, Glorified. Parrish's eyes can only see fate's direction, not the details. I am fully aware of their shortcomings, and there's no way the stars would have revealed about me and Xuanrong having a deal. The Emperor eyed Yin Shuang, but shook his head. Zhuo Fan nodded. Right, Shuanger, it couldn't tell the facts. Only whose fate went up, went down, went bust, or struck gold, which was more than enough. Zhuo Fan grinned. The moment the Xuanrong delegation entered the imperial capital, they were at the top of their game, since they came for their share. Regent Estate and Zhuge Chongfeng's readings showed growth as well, which was reasonable as well. It may be from being in cahoots with Xuanrong, or Xuanrong's movements serving their purpose. And then there was the Luo clan's prediction, looking mighty flat, if I may say. Quite fair, since Xuanrong didn't come for us, but to give this cesspool a good whirl. And with Luo clan's shaky foundation, it affected us quite a bit. Although, Zhuo Fan turned his creepy smile over to the Emperor. How come your Majesty's fate spiked the moment Xuanrong were here, higher than the other four even? This made no sense. Xuanrong and Tianyu are enemies. How can the first arrival boost your Majesty's fate? I'd never considered your shady deal, your Majesty, since it was downright taboo. The slightest slip-up will have everyone in on it, and your power will be revoked. I had Schwanger watch the fates many times over to confirm it. By eliminating all rational possibilities, you arrive at the answer, no matter how improbable it is. Your Majesty, you just turned your back on everyone, making shady deals with Xuanrong. That's when all my planning started, and I had the elders dig a bunker to prepare to fight off Xuanrong's attack. Zhuo Fan trailed off. The Emperor sighed. You're very smart. With Holy Maiden's help, this is the result. No need to patronize me. Your Majesty is the true genius here, even though dogmatic, driving everyone away. Yin Xuanji, Dugu Zhantian, Zhuge Chongfeng, the list goes on. Zhuo Fan, chuckled. Yin Shuang froze. Why you mean grandfather? Shuanger, I know old Yun's death has been torturing you. I said I'll get you revenge, but back then wasn't the right timing. Now I present you with a murderer for you to take revenge yourself. Zhuo Fan continued. Isn't that right, Your Majesty? You had Yin Xuanji killed. What? Yin Shuang watched the listless man with red eyes. You. The Emperor nodded. High Priest was a valued minister for our nation, and me. I had confided in him many times, giving him too much information. He found out about my plan and worked against it, even relying on Zhuo Fan, a betrayal that couldn't go unanswered. Yin clan works for the betterment of this world. At the founding of our empire, the ancestors must have thought of the people as well. But Your Majesty acted for his own selfish reasons, even bringing enemies into our lands, letting Xuanrong trample Tianyu's people. Sir Yin Xuanji would not stand for it. His only choice was to appeal to me in changing this future. Zhuo Fan sighed. With fate and luck, I fought back the tough Xuanrong army. The Emperor let out a self-deprecating smile. His strongest ace had been thwarted. It went to show that heavens continued to look after its people. Yun Shuang's eyes burned. Her fist tight, her anger spiking. Dugu Feng bowed. Miss Shuang, you're not the only ones with a grievance against the Emperor. I myself have some questions. Once it all comes to light, Miss Shuanger is free to end it. Yin Shuang nodded. Bottling that raging torrent, Dugu Feng began. Your Majesty, how did the Xuanrong's millions of soldiers just crossed over practically overnight and ambushed us? There's no way you could have hidden this from the Dugu army. Ha ha ha. Even old Zhuge Chongfeng could only sneak in 100,000 at most. There was no way for me to do it. Not without catching two pillars' attention. The Emperor turned. Zhuo Fan, you're smart. Can you answer it? Zhuo Fan squinted, but laughed. National elemental stones. The Emperor's eyes bugged out. Dugu Feng was stunned. The national elemental stones used in the esoteric debate. The very same. National elemental stones are the best in moving troops and are under everyone's sight. Your Majesty used the esoteric debate as a cover to get them out of the Imperial Palace. And while in Beast King Mountain, I met a certain Chuanrong lass. They had to have been there to get the keys. And when esoteric debate ended, everyone would focus on the 7 noble houses while they slipped in, laying in wait. Zhuofan's explanation was like he was there. He turned towards the ever-silent Fong Xiubai. Sir Fong, you were in charge of these matters and should have been aware, right? Fong Xiubai nodded, correct. Ha ha ha. I had underestimated you, Zhuofan. I see now why I lost it all. You knew everything. The emperor laughed with tears. Yet you were never worried as you tangled with the regent estate that I would set my sights on Wingay's city. Not one bit. Your Majesty had planned on using outsiders when the civil war was over. Not a day sooner. Zhuofan was cocky. Chuanrong was your Majesty's biggest ace, and their delegation's location was the first place to strike. While you always egged Regent Estate and Luo clans war on, sending Dugu army, Divine Dragons, and Shadow King over to take our heads, it was all a cover. Your one true aim was to remove Dugu Zhantian and Zhuge Chongfeng, your greatest ministers. Once the court was nice and clean, you'd start the campaign on the weakened Luo clan, easy pickings for the mighty Chuanrong army. The emperor stared at him. Then why didn't I move Dugu Zhantian to kill you all and settle this once and for all? Your Majesty knew Marshal Dugu best. He was loyal to a fault. He would have never agreed with your deal with Chuanrong. You feared his revolt, so after Zhuge Chongfeng was out of the picture before the news got out, you eliminated the Dugu army. You figure by that time, the Luo clan was but a handful of experts and overlooked us thinking we'd be no trouble at all. Zhuofan sighed. Yet it was us who came out on top in the end, with none the wiser. The emperor had a dull look, taking time to come up with a reply. Steward Zhuo is godlike. My defeat is justified. Giving the throne to Steward Zhuo will be for a brighter future. Everyone was shocked. Fatty and Crown Prince included with Zhuofan's shrewd nature and strong arm. No one in Tianyu could contend with his hegemony. The two's hearts were in their throat. Waiting for the answer, Zhuofan shook his head. Your Majesty, this might be late to say, but I borrowed demon scheming sex men and owe them a big favor. I need to report to them in a few days. I can't be the emperor, not when I'll be returning God knows when. Demon scheming sect knows about this. That's great. Huh. The emperor perked up. Songer, be very careful to not reach for more than you can grab when you're on the throne. You need to show gratitude whenever you're called Your Majesty. Zhuofan praised. Your Majesty sure is shrewd. Fine, since I and Fatty had a deal, he can walk up there. Hold it. The Crown Prince was flustered, offering his full service to the great Zhuofan. Steward Zhuo, since Sir can't take the throne and has no intention of letting others take it, why not support me? I vow to do all your bidding. You will be the retired emperor. Zhuofan was the supreme winner here, with the title of emperor being at his discretion. And from Luo clan stance, Crown Prince figured that no one else wanted the job, so he rushed to grab that big thick leg glancing over. Zhuofan mocked. You think it's that great fighting over a glorified empty chair? Sure is totally. Get me on it, and I'll do anything. Crown Prince bobbed his head. All he got were looks of contempt. Chapter 503. Assimilation. Chapter 503. Assimilation. Cough. With a violent coughing, Emperor spat dark blood. His voice was faint. Zhuofan, you're a smart man, and know that even when choosing a puppet, it has to have some value. Crown Prince is narrow-minded. It's only a matter of time before he slips and throws everything into chaos. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan pondered. Crown Prince looked at the Emperor like he wanted to choke the dying old man. For God's sake, am I your son, or what? I get that you won't give me the throne, but can you at least stay out of this when it's not your call who the next emperor is? Stop kicking. Just what did I ever do to you that you won't even let me be a puppet? Crown Prince blamed his fate to the point of crying. The Emperor grinned. Crown Prince, it's not that I hate you. It's just that you'll fail at the job. At best, you'd have been a muddled emperor. But now, with the situation calling for a puppet, one needs extreme caution. The slightest impulse might very well be the end of you and clan. What end? Is that how useless you think I am, old man? Crown Prince had had enough of his mockery and went to the dying emperor to shake him in tears. Why doesn't Imperial Father ever believe that I could be a good emperor? The emperor's only reaction was to smile as his spoiled son spit like a dummy, even as his life ebbed away. His smile never lost its brilliance. Imperial Father, Fatty shouted with a trembling lip. Crown Prince watched the familiar face, feeling a sudden sense of loss. He was ready for the emperor's death when he poisoned his father. Yet experiencing it proved to be painful nonetheless. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a cold eye. Fatty, you should handle your family's matters. In 2 days, you'll sit on the throne. The others gave the passing emperor one last look before following Zhuo Fan out. Crown Prince slumped to the ground, a mess of disappointment inside. Why? Why was the Imperial Father like that? Zhuo Fan was the same. Why did they choose you? Wiping the tears, Fatty's gaze hardened. Master, for Crown Prince's heinous crimes against our nation, patricide and regicide, seize him. Understood. Fong Xiaobai pointed and sword energy entered Crown Prince. Knocking him out, Fatty still held on to his father's body, his eyes swimming in tears. As Zhuo Fan exited the palace, Li Jingtian asked, Steward Zhuo, was the emperor certain, even on his deathbed, that we'd be helping the Yuan clan ascend the throne, even as a puppet? Of course. This empire has 3 sects behind it. Zhuo Fan huffed, and to keep them at its back, the empire has to keep handing over resources. Kicking Yuan clan off the throne for someone else will bring about unrest, be it willing or not, affecting the tribute to the sections. To keep Chanyu at peace, they must have the Yuan clan on display. But what the emperor did was against the 3 sects' bottom line. From the Chuanrong's confessions, the emperor would cede 1/10 of the lands, the one with the most spirit minds. It's the same as cutting at the empire's 3 guardian sects' interests. The 3 sects have lost all trust in the Yuan clan. They will find another party to be the true emperor while it remains a pawn. That's where we come in. Li Jingtian smiled. Does that mean the Luo clan will be the true emperor of Tianyu and will control the lands? Of course. I turned the war to fight back the invaders into quite the buzz, adding to our fame. There's no one else like us in Tianyu. Becoming rulers is justified. The key is to take control of everything the imperial family had, spirit minds, military, commerce, and so on. With all of that in our grasp, we won't even need figureheads in court. Zhuo Fan instructed the Luo clan bob their heads in glee. From this day on, the empire is ours. There's also the task of reorganizing the Dugu army as our private army. It will be led by the 4 tigers of Tianyu. Their generals, Zhuo Fan, turned to the grieving tigers and Yin Shuang. What's wrong with you? Yin Shuang sighed. When Godfather died, I vowed to take revenge. Now that all the enemies are gone, I have lost all the drive to hate and feel morose. The emperor is a sad man, giving his life for the imperial family, only for all his efforts to be in vain. Yeah, Dugu army vowed loyalty to his majesty as well. Who'd have thought we'd be betrayed, yet fought in his name? Ha ha ha, a cruel irony. Dugu army, sighed the other tigers, echoed his sentiment. Zhuo Fan said, nitpicking bunch. Enemies are enemies and friends are friends. If your enemy lives on, are you content to watch your friends die? Nothing but a load of brainless fools. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand and left. You go on. I have things to do. And was gone. Yin Shuang and the tigers cocked their heads. True, anyone would sympathize with the emperor's cruel fate, but he was still an enemy. Recalling how he had their godfather killed had them gnash their teeth. In hatred, the 5 saw Zhuo Fan with more esteem. Zhuo Fan is a wise man, his gaze always seeing the truth. Letting enemies roam free will get our friends killed. It will bring us more pain. Zhuo Fan turned to a dark building, where a man was waiting for him inside with a bow. Steward Zhuo, allow me to congratulate you on your complete victory in grasping this nation and becoming its true ruler. The youth in gray robes paid his respects. Zhuo Fan smiled. I'll have to congratulate Brother Yu Ming as well for figuring it out and choosing my very glorious bridge for your far sight. Your future is limitless. Ha ha ha. Well, you're too kind. I have Steward Jua to thank for his kind reminder and for lighting up the murky darkness. You were right. I can't become a great mind cooped up in one place. I needed to elevate my condition to observe the powers that move across the board. Yu Ming's eyes lit up. Revenge for my master blinded me, while master had the house tying him down. Now, without such weights dragging me down, I can roam the lands free, uncaring for favors and enmities, for gains and losses. My gaze can now see the horizon. Zhuo Fan nodded. You have grown to the ranks of Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng. I can now form new checks and balances inside the Luo clan. Does Steward Zhuo want me, Zhuge Changfeng, and Lung Wuchang to stand together? Yu Ming perked up. He knew Lung Wuchang was on Zhuo Fan's side, and now he had come here for Zhuge Changfeng. This young mastermind had endless respect for his seniors. What he never expected was Zhuo Fan, giving him such a lofty position inside the Luo clan. Of the same rank as the other two. As for the future of Luo clan, he had no doubt whatsoever against Zhuo Fan's shifty mind. Imperial family and the 7 houses fell like a tower of cards, with Luo clan climbing over their bodies to its rightful place as the supreme lord of Tianyu. That will be the best stage for my skills. Yu Ming's heart jumped in joy. Take this first. Yu Ming took the bloodworm. Zhuo Fan nodded. Where is he? If you'd kindly follow me, Steward Zhuo. Yu Ming led the way on the 2nd floor. Zhuo Fan met an aged man laying in bed. Zhuge Changfeng, but with how stiff he looked, it gave the impression of him being dead. Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow, and Yu Ming fed the old man a pill. With a light cough, Zhuge Changfeng woke up. Where am I? Prime Minister Zhuge. How has life treated you lately? Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng frowned at Zhuo Fan, and then noticed Yu Ming. He moved his gaze from one to another, but the fog hadn't been uplifted. You, too. What is this? Shouldn't I be dead? Chapter 504. Steward. Chapter 504. Steward. Dead? Zhuo Fan eyed Yu Ming. What is Prime Minister Zhuge talking about? Yu Ming explained. Steward Zhuo. The emperor since his time was coming and feared a world with Prime Minister Zhuge, and it would stir the lands. He had me put Prime Minister Zhuge down. But since I had answered Steward Zhuo's call of wanting Prime Minister Zhuge, I had Prime Minister Zhuge fake death with a pill. Now, safe and sound, I gave the antidote. Zhuo Fan nodded. Zhuge Changfeng said, I see. Sir Yu Ming is with Steward Zhuo. What has happened? With His Majesty's cunning mind, there's no way he'd leave Yu Ming alive. The two laughed. He hasn't been on my side since last evening. His Majesty had no way of figuring out our connection either. All we had among us was a transaction. Zhuo Fan grinned. Yu Ming nodded. Before His Majesty's Jubilee, I and Steward Zhuo met, to my great benefit. In those times of anarchy, with everyone going for the throne, Steward Zhuo made me a promise. I had to do just 2 little things for him, and he'd have me on board. No matter how much my future actions affected the Luo clan's interest afterwards, once he sees the world, I could use this promise to join the Luo clan, becoming the victor in this civil war. Zhuge Changfeng gave a thumbs up. Steward Zhuo, why didn't I think of that? Not only binding the opponent, but enticing him as well. It will make roping others easier. And this method wasn't successful on just him, right? Just one other. Zhuo Fan shirked off the praise. I made promises with potential candidates. One is Yu Ming, the other being Lung Wuchang. What about me? Do I have no potential? Zhuge Changfeng's eyebrow shook. Zhuo Fan laughed. Prime Minister Sir has that aplenty, but in those times you were just another contender. Was I supposed to draw on a rival? That's like asking for it. Aha, quite true. Prime Minister Zhuge nodded. Yu Ming continued. Steward Zhuo had me urge the 2nd prince into a quarrel at the Jubilee, making up an excuse to leave the imperial capital to set everything up, while also instigating the war with everyone in passing. The other matter was egging on the 2nd prince's rebellion while he was fighting Regent Estate. Though there were many people asking me about this at the time, Regent Estate and Steward Zhuo both wanted to use an attack on the court as a way to delay Dugu army, while the emperor used it to draw the prime minister out and take you down in one fell swoop by dumping the nation betrayer on your list of crimes. Oh, the rebellion had been this old man's greatest mistake. Let's not mention it. Zhuge Changfeng sighed Zhuo Fan, and Yu Ming smiled. Yu Ming added, after these tasks, Steward Zhuo presented me with an optional task, saving the Prime Minister from death. I didn't want it at first, afraid that the Emperor would find out, but Steward Zhuo is just too mean, setting his sights on Hell Valley as the first house to wipe out. That's like cutting my way out. Soon came the end of Regent Estate, and I was only left with the Imperial family and Luo clan. Of course, I had to listen to both of them. Yu Ming eyed Zhuo Fan with a bit of annoyance, yet the man had the same ineffable smile of a winner. Zhuge Changfeng asked in doubt, Steward Zhuo, why do you show me such care? Ha ha ha. I respect Prime Minister's ability and wish to invite you to Luo clan. Zhuo Fan cupped his hands. Zhuge Changfeng paused. What would Luo clan do with me when it has the invincible Steward Zhuo? I will only become a burden to Steward Zhuo. Prime Minister, sir, I was able to see today only through some shady methods. But when it comes to governing Tianyu, Prime Minister takes the crown. Zhuo Fan turned forlorn. To deal with Xuanrong and Imperial family combined, I had to tough it out and make a request to the demon scheming sect, thus owing them. To return the favor, I have to report to the sect, unbeknownst when I'll be back. I need Prime Minister Sir's wisdom to lead Luo clan, control the grand scheme of things, and steer it clear from disaster. The demon scheming sect? That means you've beaten Xuanrong and His Majesty all, while keeping the Empire's 3 guardian sects from catching wind of this matter. Zhuge Changfeng shook. That will spell the end of Tianyu's imperial family as we know it, becoming a puppet, with the Luo clan as the ruler supreme. Ha ha ha. Prime Minister Sir has the same vision as me. Coming to Luo clan, Sir will have the stage set to display your skills. I will not disgrace the greatest mind of Tianyu. Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng paced around the room. That will make Luo clan's steward position no different than Tianyu's prime minister. And with you leaving, to whom will that fall to? Zhuo Fan beamed. Prime Minister Zhuge has held Tianyu in balance for a century and knows the ins and outs. Since this position and Luo clan steward are the same, after I leave, it'll belong to Prime Minister Zhuge. Haha. It struck a chord in old Zhuge Changfeng's heart. He'd been a prime minister for as long as he knew, yet had no hard feelings leaving that life behind. Calming down, he realized he could do nothing else. But resuming his old trade, he wasn't exactly used to working under someone. This made the Luo clan's steward position the best choice. Zhuge Changfeng showed a bashful smile. The moment you leave, I'll steal your position. That wouldn't be very nice. It's all fine. The steward is in charge of all clan affairs. And with an ever-growing Luo clan, those affairs will only expand. This position shall never be empty. Someone will always be there to take it. If Prime Minister Zhuge finds joining the Luo clan a poor choice, no problem, I'll just have Lung Wuchang take it. He doesn't like his current spot as a military advisor. Zhuo Fan grinned. Zhuge Changfeng waved around. Oh no, that will not do at all. Lung Wuchang has been a Regent Estate steward all his life, seldom minding matters. With Luo clan growing into its role as an emperor in the shadows, Lung Wuchang's light experience wouldn't help in dealing with Tianyu's complicated matters. I come from an even smaller clan, yet you don't feel the same about me? Zhuo Fan darkened. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Steward Zhuo, please don't tease. You are of unseen talent, capable of anything and everything, of immense majesty and open-mindedness. What small-time steward can do that? I don't know Steward Zhuo's past, but I am confident you are a worldly talent. Prime Minister Zhuge, you sure know how to flatter. It's fine, though. All I want to know is, are you in or out? In. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Zhuo Fan relaxed and presented a bloodworm. Per clan rules, any new addition needs to eat this. What is it? Zhuge Changfeng asked while swallowing. Zhuo Fan would have long killed him if he wanted to. Why go through all that trouble? The wiser one was the quicker. Zhuo Fan laid out his conditions with a nasty grin. Zhuo Fan's hand shifted into a sign, and Zhuge Changfeng started sweating buckets from the bellyache, easing up on the sign. Zhuge Changfeng felt terror like no other despite how short-lived the pain was. Ha 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 this. Zhuo Fan snickered. Zhuge Chongfeng grumbled and whined. Steward Zhua, was that necessary? I'm just a scholar. I'm no expert and don't need these methods to control me. Ha ha ha, scholar. Prime Minister, sir, is too modest. You're a devious and unscrupulous mastermind. I won't rest easy unless I have you on a leash. Zhua Fan sighed. Luo's siblings are neither shrewd nor tough, mere sheeps. Bringing so many beasts around their pen is all to protect them. Yet by the time I return, won't I have the pen empty from the beasts eating them all up? Giving you all a leash is within reason. Ha ha ha. Zhuge Chongfeng and Yu Ming shook their heads, finding no retort against this demon's logic, cause this demon archon is too damn right. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Next morning, Zhua Fan took Yu Ming and Zhuge Chongfeng to Prosperity Compound. With the emperor defeated, taking back its mansion in the imperial capital was easy for Luo clan. The streets they passed were filled with white clothes, and all the stores were closed. It was a nationwide mourning for the emperor stepping through the gates of the compound. The guards shouted his arrival, and everyone came to meet Zhua Fan. It came as a shock to see the great prime minister behind him. Lung Wuchang took it the hardest. Not liking where this was going, allow me to clarify. Prime Minister Zhuge is now on our side. Zhua Fan smiled. This is Yu Ming, the advisor of Hell Valley, also with us. Steward Zhua is back with more talents, and with none other than the head of the Four Pillars too. His recruiting style is invincible. They all greeted the newcomers with cupped hands. Lung Wuchang opted for a snore. Zhua Fan was about to leave, and Luo clan, as a great power, needed a wise advisor in the years to come. But Zhua Fan's mind is so twisted that he got Zhuge Chongfeng to join as well. It's to keep me in check. There goes my promotion. Lung Wuchang lamented with the pleasantries over and done with. He had all others leave. Sir Lung, walk with us. He took the three tacticians to his room. Taking a chair, he eyed them. We're all smart people here and know by now my intentions. Yes, you three will establish checks and balances in the Luo clan. Kudos, ha! Zhua Fan put on a bright smile, but Lung Wuchang sighed his discontent. Steward Zhua, you had ruled the Luo clan all alone for so many years, and since I learned of your departure, I figure my time to shine has come at last, to show my skills. But you plan for two others to hold me back. Ha ha ha! Balancing power is a leader's quality, especially now when the officials are stronger than the Lord. Without Steward Zhua holding the others in check with the worms, the Luo siblings would have long since fallen prey. Steward Zhua's actions are all within right. Zhuge Chongfeng understood as much from their talk last night. Yu Ming nodded. These three were all masterminds. The only reason Zhua Fan could control them was through a nifty little trick, or he'd never let them see tomorrow. To say nothing about leaving them around the naive siblings, to grasp power, to establish an unshakable foothold. Ha! Any of these three can do it in days. But only with all of them will things keep growing. Lung Wuchang could see it, but the disillusion was too much to bear. Zhua Fan smiled. You are all capable men. I may hold you back for safety reasons, but I will not stand in the way of your talents. Instead, help you unleash it to its full potential. By then, you will be so busy that you won't have the time to play tricks on each other. Zhua Fan's hand held 3 jade slips. Here is the next phase of my plan. Each of your duties are included as well. Serling noticed something, but this is the final policy. The 3 read it and all cried, Luo Alliance. Luo Alliance. Zhua Fan nodded, his eyes flashing as he revealed his master plan. The 7 noble houses vied for power for these lands. But even if they did grasp it, they'd be limited to Tianyu alone. We are now Tianyu's shadow, free of the emperor's shackles, and can go beyond the boundaries of this nation to take in renowned clans. Grow and grow without limits to become a colossus that the likes of the upper sex have never seen. The trio were dumbstruck. Zhuge Chongfeng pointed out, Steward Zhua, this is huge. By breaking down the nation's barriers, taking in outside clans, will become an organization outside of this nation's boundaries. We will have countless men and resources. We might even contend over the control of the western lands, becoming its supreme power in the shadows. And only we can do it since we are this empire's shadow, out of its control. By luring the other area's clans, it won't come back to bite us, and the other empires won't even notice. We'll grow so big no nation could hold us. Joie Fan snickered. Will the three controllers have a mind for petty schemes when in control of such a behemoth? The trio looked at him filled with praise. Zhuge Changfeng cupped his hands. Steward Joie is amazing, just through his ambition alone. I see it now. Why you told me that your sights are on a bigger prize. It's all become clear now. My skill is indispensable in accomplishing such a great undertaking, and I would accept it without hesitation. Huh. Lung Wuchang was pleased. Joie Fan continued. The Luo Alliance project is only known to the four of us for now. It will do more harm than good letting the houses, bent on rebuilding their legacy, in on it. I never want to see the same chaos like the time of the seven houses again. You three are all men of wisdom. Your first task will be to turn these houses into abandoning their plans of rebuilding and become our first supporters of the Luo Alliance. The trio had the same patronizing smile. Reverse psychology can't be simpler. Joie Fan nodded with a wide smile. With these three at the heart of things, Luo Clan's future is assured. I'll be going now. You can handle each other's scope. Joie Fan left. Lung Wuchang asked, Steward Joie, your mind is a true mystery. How did you come up with this project? I saw it happen. Joie Fan grinned. The trio were mystified. Saw it? Which clan on this continent did it? How come we've never heard of it? No one knew that the great sacred domain had the Shang clan at its core, with all other clans in its alliance. A mountain driving fear even into sex. Joie Fan entered another room, where two sages awaited though with their sealed cultivations. They couldn't move and could only sit there with ashen faces. It's been ages, friends. How has life been treating you? Ha ha ha. Joie Fan made a sign, and the two could move. It's just that I've been a little busy and couldn't attend to you. Do pardon my lack of manners. Stop with the theatrics. As the true winner, what are you going to do? Torture us? Bring it. Heaven Sage spoke with resolve. Joie Fan sneered. You've got me all wrong. Have you ever seen a torture like this, letting you live at ease for 2 months? What do you call those 3 days of ghastly pain right when you caught us? It felt more like 3 years in hell. Earth Sage spat. Joie Fan sighed. Oh, come on, I was doing you a favor. With torture as an excuse, I kept your lives from ending up splattered under young Sanzi's hoofs. Once I got him to leave, the pain stopped, and I even had you dine in style. Did you forget so soon? The two exchanged a glance. We did, didn't we? Ever since Gu Santong's job was over, he left Luo Clan and their torture ended. What do you want? Spit it out. Joie Fan wasn't one who believed in charity, so Heaven Sage shouted. Joie Fan smiled. I hope that you'll join me. What? The two mocked. No way. And why not? Joie Fan asked. The imperial family is finished. The emperor is dead, and the fatty is just about to sit on the throne as my future puppet. What's so great about following him? Don't tell me you are undying loyalists too. Heaven Sage mocked. We're not Dugajantien or human sage. We're simply on the imperial family's payroll, so we deal with their matters. But if there's one side we'll never join, it's the Luo clan. All because you're with that little freak. What did my son do to you for you to hate him so much? Joie Fan frowned. Ethereal Stage snorted. That freak broke our body's core 300 years ago, cutting any prospects of ever reaching Ethereal Stage. You tell me if hatred isn't warranted. Joie Fan presented a vial. That's it? See here, this is Luo Clan's heaven-reaching pill, 10th grade. It mends meridians and knits bones. The broken elderly took one of these and was up and running within seconds. He even became ethereal. You only need to let go of the hatred with my son and join the Luo clan to have it. The two were shell-shocked. Luo clan has such a panacea. Though fear of being fooled again had the sages hesitant. There's no way Steward Joie will take thanks as payback for this little favor. We'll be your errand boys. We can overlook the matter with your son, but if you play with us, are you dumb or what? Your lives are in my hands. What good will it do to lie? And from how long you've stayed at peak radiant stage, the instant you heal, you'll advance. You will know it once you take the pill. The sages stared at the vial and gulped. The desire was too much for them to ignore, and they swallowed it instantly. A gentle energy entered their very fiber, getting a moan out of them. Chapter 506, The Sect Leaders. Chapter 506, The Sect Leaders. A 10-meter pavilion rested on a tall peak, with a cloud dancing around it. A youth in soft black clothes sat at the table, partaking in tea. Though his twisted smile ruined his good image, turning it sinister like a viper about to strike whoosh. A light trailed the skies and landed right before the youth. It revealed an old man in white with golden edges holding a horsetail whisk, the very picture of an immortal. The youth laughed and waved. Mystical heaven sect Xian Jianfeng, have you been well these years? Xia Wu Yue, we hardly interact, and there's nothing cordial between us. Why the sudden invitation, then? What are you up to? Xian Jianfeng snorted and took a seat, putting on a vague smile. Xia Wu Yue shook his head. To discuss important business, of course. Though it's too soon to tell. There's still one person left. Whoosh! Another light appeared, and the immense power swept the peak. Even the two of them jerked for a moment. Their Xian Jianfeng cried, Sect Leader Run. What are you doing here? It was a middle-aged man with sharp features, his expression biting and resolute. Sparse hair grew on his chin, giving him a wild look. Sect Leader Ren, greetings. This time, Xia Yue's evil smile turned respectful. Bowing at the man, Xian Jianfeng did the same, grinning. The man flicked and spoke with valor. Please, sect leaders, I've only come here to talk business. Don't stand in ceremony for my sake, haha. The two had known Sect Leader Ren for a long time, and sat right away. Sect Leader Ren took a seat as well, looking at Xia Yue with a cold glint. Sect Leader Xia, is what you said true? Yuan clan has the gall to play dirty tricks behind our backs? I never make light of such grave matters. Sect Leader Run. Xia Yue nodded. Xian Jianfeng was stumped. Sect Leader Run, what is going on? You don't know? Sect Leader Xian? Sect Leader Run eyed Xia Wu Yue and asked, Sect Leader Xia didn't explain it in the Sending Jade? Yuan clan sold a tenth of Tianyu to Chuanrong. What? Xian Jianfeng shuddered, turning shocked to Xia Wu Yue. Is this true? Are they that outrageous? And why didn't you tell me sooner? I told you now, didn't I? Xia Wu Yue snorted. Xian Jianfeng glared at him. The punk is messing with me, calling for a meeting without stating why. These two sects weren't exactly friends, and now Xia Yue was playing deaf, letting him get duped. Sect Leader Ron was the head of the Empire's 3 guardian sects, heaven-trailing sect leader. By showing indifference in such a grave matter, it would only strain the relations between me and Sect Leader Ron. And this was where Xia Wu Yue succeeded. He had forced Mystical Heaven Sect to come without explaining anything to Xian Jianfeng. You didn't say a word. It would be this big. The two sects had a competitive relationship, so why would anyone come just because the other said so? But from the looks of it, the matter isn't that grave. Xian Jianfeng wiped his brow and glared at Xia Wu Yue. The youth found it more interesting to enjoy the scenery with a cold smile. Sect Leader Ren knew everything, but laughed instead. All right, it's just Sect Leader Xia forgetting to mention. Sect Leader Xian needn't mind it. What is important is understanding the situation and its causes before settling it. Sect Leader Ren smiled. Sect Leader Xia, since you found out, you must have done something before calling this meeting. Sect Leader Ren is wise beyond his years. I indeed acted the instant I became aware of it. Now everything is settled. Though it will require all 3 of us if we want to take it out on Chuanrong and Beast-Taming Sect. Xia Wu Yue explained the entire chain of events. Xia Wu Yue placed a gourd on the table. Here are the 3 Beast-Taming Sect's elder souls. We can use them to strike a blow at the Beast-Taming Sect, but we'll need Sect Leader Ren to consider what might we get out of it. What else is there? Chuanrong live in the mountains and forests with rich lands, plenty of mines, and are filled with herbs. I've been waiting for ages to get my hands on it. Sect Leader Ren snickered. Didn't they want a tenth of Tianyu? This time we'll have them bleed instead. Xia Wu nodded. Rightfully so. I am in full accord with Sect Leader Ren's idea. We'll send a team of experts to Beast-Taming Sect for compensation. Understood. Sect leader Ren laughed. It's only a matter of time before our shares increase. Ha ha. The others laughed, as well. Xian Jianfeng and Xiaoyue weren't always on the same page, but were content when both sides had a bite, though Xian Jianfeng frowned. The foreign matter is resolved, but that still leaves the internal one. Due to its outrageous attempt, Yuan clan is unfit to lead Tianyu. We need someone else, someone to guarantee our interests. No need to worry, sect leader Xian. Isn't the choice clear as day? Xia Weiyue grinned. Xian Jianfeng jerked. You mean the Luo clan? No. Everyone knows you've got their steward Zhuo Fan to join you. Making them our choice will elevate your prowess. Xian Jianfeng, why be so petty? The Luo clan and demon scheming sect do have some ties, but it's nothing to fuss over. I'm not one to affect the sect's interests and earn heaven-trailing sect's ire over some crumbs. Do you take me for some narrow-minded and ignorant fool? Xiaoyue bowed. The usual distribution was heaven-trailing sect getting a third, each other sect a fifth, and the remaining was left to Tianyu. But with Luo clan being Tianyu's representative, an extra tenth will be divided among us, leaving it with only a fifth. Sect leader Ren lit up and nodded. This is everyone's share. No matter who controls its distribution, it'll be a gain for all. All that matters is paying the tribute on time and not skimming the top. Exactly so, Xiaoyue chuckled and gave Xian Jianfeng a taunting look. Xian Jianfeng saw sect leader Ren smile, and the eerie chill behind he nodded too. But sect leader Ren, we now have a new representative, so what do we do with the old one? Yuan clan has ruled Tianyu for a millennium. Its roots are deep. Moving against them will throw the lands in chaos and affect our shares. When Tianyu was founded, it needed 100 years to attain peace, a time during which the 7 houses were at war and the people were struggling to survive. How could the empire's resources be extracted in such desperate times? We were left with meager profits then. No, Tianyu must not fall into anarchy. Sect leader Ren said. Sect leader Xia, is your representative confident in controlling the Yuan clan and grasping the entire imperial family's power? Ha, sect leader Ren. He's doing it as we speak. And besides, doesn't he have demon scheming sect in case of hiccups? Sect leader Ren nodded. Sect leader Xia, so young and promising. I'll leave it to you. Goodbye. Sect leader Ren vanished. Xia Weiyue bowed. Xian Jianfeng stared at him. Xia Weiyue, you sure looked big in front, sect leader Ren. But I am warning you, you better not have your representative controlling Tianyu be up to something. If anything happens to mystical heaven's sect share. Yes. Xia Weiyue raised an eyebrow. It's not my fault Tianyu's representative is in my court. When I took the kid in, all you knew was how to mock. Now look at what he has turned into. While that lass of yours hasn't done anything, ha ha ha. Xian Jianfeng clenched his fists but opted to snort and left Xian Jianfeng with, don't get too cocky. That kid is more than you can handle. You will be sorry. Umph. Useless talents are of no danger. I like the kids with some bite. But no matter how dangerous, he still won't escape my grasp. Xia Weiyue snorted and clawed the air with a vicious look. Chapter 507. One True Clan. Chapter 507. One True Clan. We bow at the Emperor's coronation. It was early morning, and the imperial palace echoed with an announcement. Fatty in his golden dragon robes climbed onto the highest chair in the lands, with the officials bowing behind him ever since Chuanrong army showed up. The imperial capital had been sealed, and the imperial palace was silent. The officials had long since missed court, waiting in fear for the dire news that the empire was finished. This all became possible at the hands of Zhuge Changfeng. Colluding with the Chuanrong and imprisoning the imperial family, the situation was so that besides Zhuge Changfeng and his traitorous officials entering the imperial palace, the entire imperial capital was in the dark to the truth. And those traitorous officials had already been dealt with after months of silence. The first court attendance became possible after Zhuo Fan strutted in like a winner just as the emperor died of poisoning. The reason was quite justified. Zhuo Fan hailed the banner to save his lord. This brave, loyal, and daring official forewent the danger of death and marched in and saved the imperial family. Alas, No amount of bravery could save the emperor and crown prince from an unfortunate fate as Chuanrong's victims. Once the late emperor's funeral came to a close, Fatty prepared for his ascension. Among the entire imperial family, he was the only candidate resting on the large dragon chair. Fatty's beady eyes glinted as he took on a royal heir grandmother. Long Yaifi and Xie Xiaofeng were among the bowing officials, shouting, "May your majesty live a long and prosperous life." At ease, Fatty spoke with dignity. "My fortune of coming out alive is all due to the protector of our nation, the greatest steward in Tianyu, Zhuo Fan, who through cooperation with the Luo clan drove off the barbarians in a valiant effort to save his lord. Today I present Zhuo Fan and Luo clan with the awards for their bravery." The herald shouted in a sharp voice, "May Zhuo Fan and Luo clan step forth for their awards." The high voice echoed everywhere, and Zhuo Fan with Luo clan walked to the center. Fatty looked on heavily, his heart sinking. Zhuo Fan by himself is bad enough, but now Fatty had accepted his role as a puppet emperor, but still held some hope. From what he heard from Yun Shuang and Yongning's chats, Zhuo Fan was going to leave soon. This news brought him great joy. With the most annoying pest out of the way, Luo clan will fall into chaos. No elder of theirs will simply bow to another. No one could keep them in line, except Zhuo Fan. He would then swoop in to mediate and might even wrest Tianyu's power for himself, but the current display had his hopes crushed and flushed down the gutter. Zhuo Fan walked in front of Luo clan. Among them were three people known to Tianyu as the greatest minds: Zhuge Changfeng, Lung Wuchang, an insidious demon's pupil. Yuming didn't get that much attention, but Fatty was certain the kid isn't a pushover. With these three weasels and goddamned elites, Luo clan had robbed the new emperor of any chance plus. Looking further back, one would see the peak of Tianyu's power. Li Jingtian, Qiu Yanhai, and other Luo clan members, and even the Yin Yang elders, judging from their auras, they were even stronger than before. Fatty muttered, "Brother, did you have to take everyone and leave me hanging? What am I supposed to do now that I've got no one to help me? Can it be that your majesty has other thoughts?" Zhuo Fan mocked Fatty's side. "Some, but now they are gone. Becoming emperor is enough. Cheer up and be happy with what you have." "Ha!" Zhuo Fan spoke like a true winner. His attitude had no ounce of respect. With the whole court looking at him speechless, some loyalists even jumped in, criticizing Zhuo Fan. "How dare you speak to his majesty with such gross disrespect? You should be hanged. Not even the nation's defender has the right to be so crass with his majesty. And who the hell are you to blame me?" Zhuo Fan mocked. "Fatty, what do you say I should do? Such insolence to call his majesty. I am ashamed to say it. Off with your head. Shut your yap." The Fatty barked, holding his head helplessly. "Guards, take him away and execute him." "Ugh." The old man was dumbstruck. "Your majesty, I am protecting your honor. Why am I the one sacked?" "Your majesty, the laws of the court must be upheld. Don't encourage such arrogant display." The old official raved, showing his loyalty as he was dragged away. The Fatty sighed. "Truly the worst allies one can have. Are you blind? Do you not see me here, yet still toot your horn? Guys like you would one day have me killed. I could do perfectly well without die-hard loyalists like you. Thank you very much. All you know is to show off and act blindly. Listen up, Zhuo Fan and Luo clan's bravery is laudable, saving myself from certain death. They are the saviors of the world. I treat them with the same respect as heaven and earth. You all must learn restraint before Luo clan, understand?" The Fatty shouted. The audience was chilled on the spot, with many of them bug-eyed. The emperor's words carried a heavy weight. The savior had more esteem than one's own parents. Such respect couldn't be violated. The emperor said it to honor Zhuo Fan, to make him the retired emperor, be but how. Smiley face. The literal meaning for retired emperor is beyond emperor, while it can also mean father of the emperor and puppet master, figuratively. A lord can revere the heaven and earth, but nothing else. No matter how strong this guy is, he's still an official and can never be above the lord. Yet the emperor treated Zhuo Fan above his own kin, above heaven and earth. It left them all in shock at Zhuo Fan's gaze, all bowed their heads. Regardless of what the emperor says, there must be something else lurking beneath the surface. But it's not our place to speak. Wasn't one of us just dragged out moments ago? One peep and your whole clan will follow. Better zip it and play oblivious. The officials sighed. Zhuo Fan sneered. The whole court had come to know of his current position, that his power would go even higher than the emperor's. It was the first step in making the emperor a figurine. Zhuo Fan signaled Fatty to continue, though not without some hesitation. Luo clan's example of bravery for their lord and nation is a reflection of heaven and earth. They were first in the fight against barbarians, saving their lord and helping the people. I proclaim the Luo clan as the best house under heaven, holding key positions in Tianyu, managing the army, managing resources to defend the nation, and help me in guiding the people. Where they go, they carry my name. The Fatty slumped in his throne. Spent after that little speech, the court was boiling. Military and resources, all under Luo clan's control. How is that Yuan dynasty then? And he even said they'll manage the people and lands together. That's like giving someone half your home. Luo clan might be the greatest in its merits, but no way equal to the emperor. That's digging your own grave. Some of the officials were lost. What the hell is wrong with the new emperor? He just sold his fatherland. Even a fool knows to keep his stuff, not give it away. Many were bowing and ready to admonish Zhuge. Chongfeng's interjection was perfect, though. In management, what matters most is reading the signs. His Majesty is more astute than any of you. So don't get carried away and butt in. The officials glared at him, but his hint worked like a charm. Zhuge Chongfeng has been prime minister for ages, so why jump ship over to Luo clan side? Looking at the emperor's defeated face, they all hesitated and fell back. Something reeks of a mystery here. Let's gloss over. But that'll make Luo clan the sole holder of Tianyu's power. A shift in dynasty will only be a matter of time. Not that it was any of their problems. If the Yuan clan didn't care, why should they? The officials calmed, their minds dumbing down. Zhuge Chongfeng flicked a pleased look Zhuo Fan's way. The more desolate they felt about the emperor, the more strange they'd be, and the emperor would accomplish nothing. Zhuo Fan turned to the Fatty, shouting, "We'll be going now." As they left, there was no one blocking or berating Zhuo Fan's uncouth manner. It was out in the open now that the emperor couldn't mess with him. Hold on a minute. Fatty's eyes shone. We brothers haven't seen each other in ages. I ask that you stay and have a talk with me. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. What's he thinking? Chapter 508. Beauty over the lands. Chapter 508. Beauty over the lands. In the back gardens of the imperial palace, Fatty dismissed all his servants, except Feng Xiaobai, as he walked with Zhuo Fan down a secluded path through the woods. Fatty sighed. Brother, do you recall the time we swore brotherhood in Wingay's city? I was a prince, and you were a servant of a ruined clan. But look at us now, a monarch of a nation and the true ruler of Tianyu. Doesn't time just whistle by? Get on with it. Zhuo Fan groaned, making him awkward with an ahem. Fatty continued. What I mean is, you walk alone with me around the imperial palace with no guards. It proves our brotherly trust. Nah, you just don't have anyone good enough to finish me off. You take me for Zhuge Chongfeng, so weak that I need to resort to treachery to stay alive? Zhuo Fan mocked. Fatty choked. Feng Xiaobai grew red, too. Zhuo Fan wasn't pointing fingers, but did hit quite close to home. Not even divine dragon Feng Xiaobai could scratch Zhuo Fan from the shadows. The rest of Imperial Palace didn't count. He was that confident. Fatty sighed. Brother, I know you are cunning and powerful across all the lands, but can you not sting me every time you open your mouth? I had the whole friendship speech going here to get closer, yet you dumped it all in 3 lines and ruined the mood. Get closer? Fawning without reason proves you're up to no good. Zhuo Fan mocked. Say it. What do you want from me? Fatty's beady green eyes steeled. Zhuo Fan, it's just us here, so I'll be frank. Does our brotherhood stand? Of course it does. Did I ever break a promise? Zhuo Fan stuck out his chin. Fatty nodded. That makes us brothers still. But you can't always pick on your brother. I'm a monarch here. Taking my power has many implications, but you don't even treat me with respect. Could you at least spare my imperial self? Let me have something to survive with. What would a puppet emperor need power for? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Didn't your pops ever warn you to sit back like a good puppy? Forget about the world, where we'll soon come to burn you and your entire clan. This, here and now, is much better. Living the high life of an emperor, uncaring for its problems, and taking on more serious matters, like losing that extra fat. You're like an immortal. What's not to like? Zhuo Fan patted Fatty's wobbly belly. The fatty bit back. I am an emperor with an ideal and ambition, not to live in obscurity. And when we became brothers, I didn't offend you, so you can't do the same to me. Now, are you going to ruin my clan for my words? Fatty, you can say whatever you want. Zhuo Fan squinted. If I wanted to kill you all, I'd have done it by now. I just don't want to throw the lands in chaos and mess up my plans. And I still recall us never overstepping our bounds in those days. But how come you just asked for your power back? Sure, I can give it to you, all of it, don't mind the consequences. Consequences? Fatty was erect with worry. Fong Chiobai interjected. Empire's 3 guardian sects. Exactly. Zhuo Fan nodded. Late Emperor's plan brought danger to his lands by encroaching on the sect's interests. If all had gone well, he'd be holding the power and the sects wouldn't doubt him. But since he failed, they've lost all faith in Yuan clan, looking into Tianyu for a replacement representative, talking about fame and power. Only Luo clan fits the bill. Thus we took all the power and benefits of the empire. In the off chance that we didn't become the Shadow Emperor, the sects would have just raised another clan, and you'd still end up a puppet. It's all a matter of getting a handler here. Zhuo Fan smiled. We're all old pals here. Your clan and mine know each other well. Shuang'er, young Miss, and Princess Yoning are very close. Any trouble you may have, we can help you out, being flexible too. While with some other clan, how much better do you think you'll fare? Fatty trembled and sighed. He took Luo clan as his only opponent. Taking back his power from their grasp, he'd become a real emperor, only to find his real adversaries were those sects, always in the shadows, always in control for thousands of years. The fatty's hopes sank. Father wouldn't have carried out the Secret Pearl Order if he knew. Secret Pearl Order? Zhuo Fan asked. Yuan clan actually has it. I thought the emperor was just messing with the board to play his hand. Fatty sighed. As the Yuan clan is doomed with its plight, the Secret Pearl Order has lost its meaning. It is an order passed on to the next emperor on the previous deathbed. It's only for the emperor's ears and his standard of conduct. Roaming dragon enjoying the pearl. Smiley face, funny enough, it's the name of a dish. What's that? Zhuo Fan asked. Fatty's side. It is a secret path Father prepared for me, to throw the pearl and let the dragon play with it. All Yuan emperors have done in the past millennium is to incite chaos among the factions in order to weaken them. We all have to pursue this creed, or create the situation if one couldn't. The War of the Houses 1,000 years ago, Gu Santong wrecking Tianyu 300 years ago, are prime examples. Even Luo clan's emergence, pushing the factions to fight. In simple terms, the emperor sat on his throne enjoying the play, while unity of factions will make the throne unstable. That makes sense. Zhuo Fan nodded. The way of rulers is all about checks and balances, impossible without hatred. Does it make the story about wind-gazed cities, 3 ancient houses a lie? Fatty shook his head. No, didn't I say, if you don't have the conditions, create them. To make it believable, everything had to be true. Just that, the founders' words were a catalyst, with each emperor paving the way for the next in case they didn't succeed. The 3 clans of Wind-Gaze City were Tianyu's officials once, planning for 1,000 years. Your clan is of imperial stock, two-faced, and using your posterity to exhaustion. Zhuo Fan sighed. Fatty nodded. An emperor leads a solitary path, surrounded by enemies. Even if an emperor is kind, it is seen as weakness, and he will ultimately be put down. Yet our clan lost to you regardless. The roaming dragon enjoying the pearl has come to a close, ruined at the outrageously strong hands of soaring demonic dragon killing us all. The two kept a long stare, then laughed. Fatty said, "Brother, could you help me with something?" "What is it?" "Proposal." Fatty grinned. "You know how fond I am of little Koe. I vowed that the day I ascend, I will make her empress through any means. With the current reversal, Veiled Dragon Pavilion will look down on the Yuan clan. So I ask you, brother, to help me." Zhuofan nodded after a while. "No problem. I can ask them, but it's out of my hands if they refuse. If you plan on using my name to steal a wife, think again." "Ha ha! The great steward Zhuo's mind is a maze. How could I ever use you?" Fatty said, "I do not want your name, just for you to help me. The Chuanrong Emperor sent a letter not long ago to redeem Tuoba Taizhan and the others by ceding Chuanrong's most fertile lands. I can only accept it with my seal. You'll have to kill me to sign it, though. I'll never do it without little K. I want to give this land to Veiled Dragon Pavilion." Veiled Dragon Pavilion would probably accept the proposal with open arms. But they have few men and the lands are at the border. They're sure to come to you for help. You have the Dugo army and can use it to absorb the Veiled Dragon Pavilion completely to achieve peace. We'll each get what we want." Zhuofan nodded. "Nice one. You're just as wise as your father. Be honest now. Have you ever thought of attacking me?" "Never." Fatty's response was quick. Zhuofan stared at him for a good while and nodded. "I will help you. But leave the talks up to me. I can squeeze more conditions. I can't have you lose out with just a wedding." "Ha ha ha. To you it might be nothing, but to me that wedding is everything." Fatty sighed. "I can see my lands are forfeit, but I won't lose my love as well. I'd rather have the beauty over the lands." Chapter 509. The Rivers Each Call Their King. Chapter 509. The Rivers Each Call Their King. Zhuofan eyed him with doubt, though still trusted him. A shrewd man in the grips of love will never claw his way out. "I'll be going then. Goodbye." Zhuofan walked away. Fatty sighed. "Oh, brother, I always thought of attacking, but never had the courage." He turned to Fong Qiubai. "The Yuan clan is now entering hibernation for a few days. I don't want to do anything. Let's go deal with the last variable." Fong Qiubai nodded and followed closely. The two arrived at the Imperial Palace's southwest corner, a prison for most heinous criminals. "Zhuofan, wait." Walking out of the Imperial Palace, a soft voice called for him. He saw Yongning running over with Yin Shuang. Zhuofan asked, "What is it, princess?" "I would like to thank you for defending Tianyu from Chuanrong's invasion, saving our people, and easing father's crimes." She made a deep bow. Zhuofan mocked. "Princess, you're no fool. Since I've ruined your father's master plan, worse days await your clan. Yet you are thanking me?" "I have to. I know father was wrong in his ways, earning the ire of everyone. This was just righteous retribution. I do not hate anybody." "Of course you don't. How can your weak body hold it in? You always let it out in a hissy fit. Ha ha." Zhuofan teased, "Though I have to admire your father for the ingenious plan he came up with. Alas, fate wasn't on his side, with me and Shuang joining hands. Things might have been different otherwise." The princess merely gave a smile and a sigh. Father's success was only for the imperial family, while the people would have suffered. "I'd rather see my father fail than watch such an outcome." Yongning gazed upon him with pleading eyes. "Zhuofan, could you please do something for me?" "What?" Glancing at Yin Shuang's hopeful eyes, he turned to the princess. She mumbled, "Big brother is guilty of regicide and patricide. His fate is death. But he is still my brother. I hope to see him, but I do not know where he is. Third brother won't tell me. I can only ask you, to avoid the scandal of the crown prince's crimes. Fatty said he died at the hands of Chuanrong. How do you think Fatty will handle him? Life in prison or death?" Zhuofan eyed the princess. "If it's the latter, he must be dead already." The princess panicked inside. Yin Shuang pouted. "Well, is he dead or in prison? Beats the hell out of me. It's Fatty's problem now. Save it. Elderly told me you have spies everywhere in the Imperial Palace, watching the new emperor's every move." Yin Shuang metal princess lit up and watched him with hope. "Since when is elderly's tongue so loose?" Zhuofan admitted. "Yes, I know where the crown prince is being kept. He is in the royal prison." See, can we go see him? The princes asked. Zhuo Fan refused. I and Fatty are sworn brothers. I will not interfere as long as he doesn't overstep. Yongning's mood fell. Yun Shuang glared. When have you ever been so righteous? Humph. All I hear is excuses. Don't help us. We'll just force our way in and say it's your orders. See how those guards stop us then. Hold on a minute. Zhuo Fan sighed in the end. Fine. I'll take you, but you're to speak of this to no one. I want to keep an eye on Fatty for some more time. His every move impacts his future behavior. The girls nodded with a smile. Zhuo Fan sighed and snaked his hands on their waists, his right eye flashing golden. We're off. The two blushed. Appearing in a yellow prison corridor, the girls shirked him off and watched Zhuo Fan point at the third cell. Crown Prince is there. The princess nodded with a lowered blushing head. Same as Yun Shuang, they were pure ladies. With Zhuo Fan making a move on them on the fly, they felt embarrassed, yet the main culprit only looked at them oddly. What's with them? 1 minute they nag me to bring them here. The next they stiffen up. The Emperor has arrived. A sharp voice echoed in the damp prison, and the girls panicked. Yoning whispered, Zhuo Fan, let's leave. Third brother is here. Zhuo Fan shook his head. No, with this prison being his secret, it's the best way to test him. I want to see just what is on Fatty's mind, and if his words are true. Keep quiet and don't move, Zhuo Fan urged. His eye lit up in 3 golden halos as he activated Mirage World Hum. The 3's images warped and soon vanished. Zhuo Fan had created an illusion to house them from prying eyes. Fong Qiubai and Fatty walked over Clang. The cell door opened and the two walked in to meet a very familiar figure. Crown Prince, though, with his sealed cultivation, his body was covered in wounds from all the torture. Big Zhuo Fan covered Yongning's mouth as she cried with a twisted smile. Fatty paced before Crown Prince. Big brother, I've been a bit busy as of late, with Father's funeral and my ascension, so I couldn't see you. Crown Prince's pale face sized Fatty's new golden threads with a feeble gaze, and he mocked. You fat pig, clothes do not make you an emperor. To think I fell to your hand. You sure kept it to yourself. Aha! I had to play the uncouth boor, endure with humility under fake civility, or you'd spare nothing to get rid of me. Fatty put on a winning smile. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth. This should have all been mine. Blinded by what's in front of me, I lost sight of the bigger picture. I have failed. Crown Prince sighed, then mocked. But there was someone else behind it all. Old Third, you're just a figurehead. How does it feel? The real winner is Zhuo Fan. No? Ha ha ha. Fatty didn't give in to the cawing in his ear. Yes, he is the true winner here. I knew that already. He may have been had by Father, assaulted on every turn, but I didn't join them. I was convinced he had plenty of ways to return the favor. Father's one wasn't guaranteed. Oh, you were so optimistic, weren't you? In times when his allies drifted off, fighting Father and the entire nation, the only reason those allies returned was because Regent Estate ruined their homes. How were you so sure that he would have the last laugh? Don't tell me you're a visionary. Fatty shook his head. The world shook at the shake of the Earth Dragon's tail. Then came the Celestial Dragon to quell the chaos. As both the Celestial and Earth Dragons exist, the land and rivers shall each call their king. This was High Priest Yun Shuangji's prophecy when Zhuo Fan swallowed Huang Pu, Qing Tian's dragon soul, and the world trembled. Zhuo Fan had been disrupting Tianyu since then, and the factions were falling into dissent. It was then that Father grasped his chance, enacting his great plan and wrestling power back into his hands. Crown Prince sighed, but the Fatty grinned. Wrong, it's all wrong. High Priest's words are an enigma. The first line, Father could make sense of it, but he read the last line wrong. The land and rivers shall each call their king isn't an omen of the collapse of Tianyu. Think about it. What does rivers imply? Water. With water and each combined, you get what? Luo. The last line clearly states the Luo clan will come out on top by providence. Smiley face. It's a play on words or characters. What? Crown Prince was speechless. Heaven decreed for Luo clan to replace Yuan clan. Chapter 510, Demons. Chapter 510, Demons. Turning back towards the crown prince, Fatty smiled. For this very reason, I never crossed swords with Zhuofan and Luo clan, in fear of Providence's retribution. My position bears, in fact, heaven's stamp of approval. To hell with your approval. You're just a puppet. Is that something to take pride in? Crown Prince, snorted Fatty, merely chuckled. Yet I am an emperor. Father's last words were, whatever you can grasp, it's yours. At least I have grasped the throne, while a dear brother of mine laments, even failing to be a puppet. Why you? Crown Prince gnashed his teeth with a sadistic smile. Fatty clapped. Bring the medicine. Rotten ball of fat. What are you planning? Crown Prince cried. Fatty beamed. You used medicine to kill father, a scandal I had to cover up. But for father's revenge, I'll have you go down the same way. A servant approached with a reeking bowl. The awful stench was to die. Yongning struggled to go there, but Zhuofan held her back. Repeating over and over to stay calm, Crown Prince shuddered at every step of the incoming bowl of death. Damn fat ass. Stop justifying killing me with your petty excuse. If it weren't for me acting first, you'd have stepped in as well that day. You dare come at me, playing the timeless virtue. A damn hypocrite. You're right about one thing. We're both cruel and sinister. Fatty raised an eyebrow. Easing my conscience by taking revenge the same way you killed father is one reason. While I'm more unsettled about letting you live. We have lost the trust of the guardian sex, and Zhuofan limits my actions. If by some miracle you manage to escape, and use your name as Crown Prince to fight me, those sects will squash you in clan. For the safety of our clan, Big Brother, have an early hereafter. Fatty took the bowl to Crown Prince. Crown Prince couldn't even move, only snapping back. Rotten piece of fat. You're gonna regret this. I never regret my actions, or I'd have never made it to the throne. Fatty snickered, his eyes shining with cruelty, as he pried Crown Prince's mouth open and force-fed the slimy medicine. Crown Prince put up a feeble fight. With his cultivation sealed, all he could do was seethe with hatred as the disgusting slime poured down his throat. Yongning was wrecked with tears, shaking like a leaf. Only keeping quiet thanks to Zhuofan holding her mouth. Fatty threw the empty bowl away and cackled. Ha ha, I can rest easy now. Ha ha, Fatty, joke's on you. You won't have a carefree reign, even as a puppet. Crown Prince was bleeding from everywhere, his eyes bloodshot, yet laughed as he cursed. Fatty mocked. That's not for you to decide. What can a dead man do anyway? Oh, really? Humph, you may kill me, damn Fatty, but don't think for a darn second you'll be at ease. There's someone else who wants your seat just as much. Second brother? Fatty snickered. Thanks for reminding me. That brickhead will cause a mess sooner or later. But you can rest easy now, knowing I'll make sure he follows you soon enough. Crown Prince cackled. Ha ha ha, follow me? You'll have to find him first. What did you say? Fatty frowned and shouted. Didn't father imprison him? What did you do? Crown Prince's face was covered in black blood, life ebbing out of his every pore, yet only his smile remained. I don't mind telling you. To make sure father's anniversary went as I planned and old second wouldn't flee in the chaos at Imperial Palace, I had set up some contingencies. First was poisoning the father and then killing your lard ass in passing. The other was to have someone take old second away. If I succeeded, old second would die. If I failed, he'll be my avenger, turning Tianyu upside down. Why did you do that? Fatty squinted. If father's plan had worked, Tianyu would have been Yuan clans. You are destroying our lands. Crown Prince mocked. My dear rotten fat ass, have you forgotten father's teachings already that you just now preached? If I can't have these lands, I'd rather destroy them. Even if they're my brothers, ha ha ha. Crown Prince cackled and Fatty turned grim. How can old second do it? He isn't capable of that. Yes, he alone has no hope, and that is why I had prepared some things for him. One of those things is the same gift I had obtained for father, lands of our nation. Fatty blurted, Western lands' greatest man, Dan Xing Shun. Rumor has it that whoever holds lands of our nation, Dan Xing Shun, will fulfill their wish. What, pray tell, do you think old second's wish will be? Crown Prince's eyes were mad. Fatty stared at him coldly. Danxing Shun has been missing for 1,000 years with no one catching any sign of him. He may even be dead. This hope is a pipe dream. No matter how abysmal, as long as old second lingers on, Danxing Shun will one day come to Tianyu. Your days as an emperor are numbered. Have a taste of constant dread looming over your shoulder, fat ass, huh? Crown Prince cackled as the light in his eyes faded. The proud smile remained even as he bled from every orifice. Fatty squinted and snorted as he stormed out of the jail, put out a wanted notice for second Prince Yuanyong. Anyone catching him dead or alive will be greatly rewarded. Yes, sir. The jail guard's shout echoed out. With everyone gone, Zhuo Fan turned towards the prideful but dead Crown Prince. With a flash of golden, he brought the girls out of their whoosh. The trio returned to the same spot they had left from, and Zhuo Fan let the girls go. Princess Yongning fell to her knees, sobbing, "Big brother, how could you do this to your third brother? It's simple. If he won, Fatty would have been the one lying in there instead." Zhuo Fan's flat tone came, masking the chaos within. Witnessing Fatty killing Crown Prince with such cruelty let him understand why Fatty was so at peace with his role. Perhaps it was Yun Xuanji's prophecy at work, that heaven could not be denied. Perhaps because of the three sects' ever-watchful eyes, ready to snuff him out the instant he strayed like the old emperor. That's why he wants to end the princes, to safeguard his future. It will stabilize his position in the short term, while the rest would be left for the future. By that time, Luo clan would be a behemoth not even the sects could shake, and all of Fatty's machinations would not achieve anything. Not while the greatest minds of Tianyu steer it. He could leave with an easy heart, breathing in and out. After so many years, my heart has found peace at last. Demons, all of them. Princess Yongning sobbed louder. She was oblivious to the deep-rooted hatred and hostilities between her dear brothers, a matter of life and death. All of it, just for the throne? You're brothers of the same flesh and blood. You can't even let each other live? Zhuo Fan scratched his nose at her, crying, To be honest, I'm a demonic cultivator, practically a demon as well. Steward Zhuo, you don't count. Yun Shuang looked him in the eye with rosy cheeks. At least you want the best for Luo clan and the elders. If you're a demon as well, what will that make everyone else, devils? A chord moved in Zhuo Fan's heart, and he frowned. I, a great and grand demonic emperor, true believer of the demonic path, is not a demon. Either everyone else is a demon, or I'm straying farther from the demonic path. Zhuo Fan was perplexed. His heart was at peace, yet his mind couldn't pierce the ever-thickening fog. Is this my demonic path? He used to be so clear-headed, but it has kept getting clouded as of late. Am I to tread ahead, or take a step back? Yin Xuanji's words came back to him. This life might be just another way of cultivating, and he regained calm. Regardless, the demonic path isn't definite. Just follow your heart. Shuanger, tomorrow we're returning to Wingay City. Fatty's actions have put me at ease. Zhuo Fan spoke. Yin Shuang nodded. Yongning looked up at him and pleaded, Zhuo Fan, I beg of you to take me with you. I do not want to stay in such a painful place. Yin Shuang nodded before he could refuse. Of course. You'll come with me to Luo clan and live in the Yun clan. It's improper to take the great princess away. Zhuo Fan's dissuasion felt flat, and Yun Shuang said, We're the biggest clan there is. What's improper about that? Come on. She pulled Yongning away, leaving Zhuo Fan speechless. How come even Shuanger has turned feisty, so out of her character? Am I a bad influence? Sigh, I'm such a bad uncle. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. In a gloomy cave, Second Prince was asleep on a stone bed drip. An ice-cold droplet trailed down the cave wall and landed on his head. He flickered his eyes open with a shiver, Your Highness. A deep voice came from his side. Second Prince looked through the haze at a kneeling man covered in black. Startled, he jumped to his feet and shouted, Who are you? Where's this place? Your Highness, I am with the Crown Prince. He had me rescue Your Highness. His tone was cold, his words flat. Second Prince recalled that on the eve of his father's birthday, someone barged into his cell and knocked him out. Next thing he knew, he was here. Second prince frowned, looking suspiciously at the man. So you are Big Brother's man? Humph, what is he up to now? Father had me imprisoned for life, and I am no threat to his throne. Your Highness, all Crown Prince has done is to save your Highness. The man cupped his hands. Second prince became even more suspicious. Save? That's not the brother I know. And who would want to kill me? Father? Your Highness, many things have happened while you were imprisoned. In short, third prince colluded with the traitor Juefan, conspiring against his majesty and crown prince. As the crisis came upon his highness, he ordered me to save your highness in hope that Sir might one day restore the Yuan clan and eliminate those vile traitors. Impossible. Old third is just a fat pig. He can't do anything. Second prince refuted in mockery, or more like he could not once believe that where his rebellion failed, Fatty succeeded. That'll be the crown jewel of humiliation. Am I a bigger loser than even a fat pig? The man shook his head. With the third prince's ability, yes. But he had Juefan's cunning in catching his majesty and crown prince unprepared, though that's not how the world sees it. Your highness needs simply to take a walk outside and can learn who is the emperor and who has the world. Third prince betrayed his ancestors, surrendering Tianyu to that foul Juefan and becoming a puppet. Luo clan now reigns supreme, holding power above the imperial dynasty. Whole of Tianyu knows, and they've issued wanted notices for your highness to weed you out. These are facts or may find out just by stepping outside. I'm telling no lies. Second prince eyed him skeptically, yet gave credence to the words in the end. Because these conclusions were simple to reach, he found them to be sound being stuck in a cell all this time. Second prince was oblivious to the great civil war in Tianyu, of the emperor and Xuanrong's deal, and even Zhuge Chongfeng's rebellion. At this point, he'd gobble up anything that was thrown at him. The man in black's fabricated story was based on facts. That Luo clan was Tianyu's apex, and the emperor had changed. What was more, the second prince was in complete denial that Fatty had it in him to become emperor. He must have resorted to some underhanded deeds to pull through. Second prince grew outraged, oblivious that he was playing in a crown prince's hand of inciting chaos. The man in black's order was, if crown prince ascended, kill second prince. If crown prince failed, make second prince's avenger. Yuan Yong had become the departed crown prince's tool. The man in black grinned inside, hidden behind a grieving facade. Damn you, pig. You stole my crown. You even gave away our lands. You are a stain upon Yuan name, a disgrace to our ancestors. Second prince ranted, then sighed. Alas, their power is beyond my reach. How am I to succeed in restoring our dignity, in getting revenge for father? Second prince, crown prince has made plans. The man in black presented a black package. Your highness, this is what crown prince has prepared for sir. Therein lies the hope of revenge, of restoring our nation's glory. Second prince opened it to find 3 items. The first was a painting second prince was most familiar with. Lands of our nation? Why did you give it to me, big brother? Am I to find the long-lost apex of Western land's power, Dan Xing Shun, to help me? That's not possible. He's been gone for 1,000 years now. Where do I even start looking? Second prince shook his head. This is too thin, way too thin. He moved on to a hand-sized box. On opening it, he cried, what is this? A sparkling orb rolled around inside, just like an eye. The man in black bowed. Second prince, it is High Priest Yin Xuanji's eye, capable of reading the stars. When his majesty obtained it, he had tried hundreds of ways to pierce its mystical ability, only to fail every time and give up. Crown Prince had the chance to get it. It is unknown what it can do, but it must be incredible for sure. He has passed it on to you, and hope that it may help sir. Yin Xuanji's eye. Second prince shook, eyeing the ocular organ, feeling a power taking over his mind. Staring at it for a fraction had him shaken to his core, his soul unsettled. He clenched his hand and took a good time to settle down. Evil. Putting it back in a box, second prince eased a breath. I can't use it for now, nor do I know how. I know my limits not to mess with it. The man in black found it natural. What could he figure out when the emperor's whole gang couldn't for so many years? Second prince turned to the last item, an ancient piece of cloth engraved with a map. At a corner was an enlarged Yun character. Your Highness, this map was part of the imperial palace's treasury. Rumors say this map is what great ancestor used to find the Yun clan, their homeland. But with the Yun clan having gone from their ancestral home for so long, many have forgotten this detail. By following this map, Your Highness can find it. The man reported. Second prince frowned at the tree items. High Priest Sai, Yin clan's ancestral map and lands of our nation. Big brother wants me to... Correct. Yin clan's high priest can read fate, so their ancestral home must be the only place to unravel the eye's mysteries. By using the mystic eye, you might even catch Dan Qingshun's trail among the flow of fate. The man in black cupped his hands. Second prince sighed. Big brother is thorough to think of such a plan of exceptional talent. If he could find Dan Qingshun, he could take back more than just Tianyu Empire, even the whole western lands. Second prince shouted, All right, since Big Brother has gone to such lengths, I will complete his design by finding western land's greatest expert. Then, old third and Zhuofan, your death shall be nigh. Second prince steeled himself, and the man in black slipped on a wide smile. Crown prince, your soul can look on in peace knowing your design carries on. Second prince is on the path you paved, your avenger. Meanwhile, Zhuofan paid Veil Dragon Pavilion a trip to tell them about Fatty's proposal. Long Yifi couldn't be happier, agreeing on the spot with 1,000 miles of rich lands at their disposal. Anyone would accept. Though with it being on the border, carrying out operations was risky of course. He'd asked Zhuofan for troops, and the man agreed, just as quickly. Sharing a secret glance with his masterminds, everyone enacted psychological warfare on Long Yifi's mind by explaining the benefits of Luo Alliance with so many upsides to it. Veiled Dragon Pavilion hopped right on the bandwagon. With one down, the other two allies weren't far away either, all coming over as easy as breathing, with Luo clan being the one true clan here. With them they'd live the high life, but against them, an early grave, adding the three old weasels' sly and smooth speech into the mix. It worked to cower and awe the trio into falling in line to the extent that they thought they were the ones better off. It was Zhuofan's way of showing gratitude to the old allies for all that they had done, but when did heaven ever flung a pie in anyone's lap? Every single benefit they received was followed by an equal, if not larger price. Having joined the Luo Alliance, they'd make it big, sure, but they had lost independence, reduced to mere members of the Luo Alliance, unable to direct their own development, and being at the whims of the organization, just like the other clans were vassals to the houses. Only now, the relations were much tighter, yet still had a defined hierarchy. The alliance leader was a no-brainer, Luo clan, with the rest being members they controlled, not that the others minded. With the Luo Alliance in inception, they'd get a little something, and that proved to be enough to forget about vapid stuff like freedom. Now came the time of consolidating Luo clan's power. Although Zhui Fa had no hand in it, leaving it to the clan's newest steward, it was time to leave. Chapter 512. Farewell to mortal domain, farewell to my demons. Chapter 512. Farewell to mortal domain, farewell to my demons. Commander Tauba, let's meet again someday. Back in Wingate City, Zhuofan had the Tiger's escort, Tooba Taizhan, and the rest of Chuanrong to the borders for the trade-off. With all of them having their cultivation sealed, the 500,000 Dugo army had no trouble escorting these 2 million prisoners at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Zhuofan put on a kind face watching the Chuanrong army. But Tooba Tieshan's reply was cold. Even when cupping hands, let's not. I don't ever want to see you again. Ha ha ha. Commander Tauba, surely just the least we are as adversaries and should have each other's respect, no? The same way you and Marshal Duga treated each other. I respected Duga Zhantian for his exquisite military talent, but more for his character. While you're inhuman, all you do is trick, cheat, and steal. And that Flying Tiger army is the last straw. Where the hell did you come up with such a dominating army? Tooba Taizhan clearly had some misgivings about his loss. Zhuofan laughed. He noticed the eyes of the Chuanrong generals having some resentment as well. But there was more respect and fear than anything. By fighting Zhuo Fan, they learnt what godly skill meant. His leadership was average, but he more than made up with his twisted bag of tricks. At any given time, he would just pull something out of the hat so freakish, he'd make you pee your pants. No one wanted him for an opponent. It was too taxing to figure him out. Tuoba Lufeng was of the same mind. The 8 wolf wardens sighed, while only Taobal Yinner had a complex smile and ended up shouting, "Zhuo Fan, you still owe me half of those herbs in Beast King Mountain." "What half?" "Please mind yourself, sister. You're my captive here. All of you are. I owe you nothing." "Ha!" Zhuo Fan teased. Taobal Yinner blushed, whipping her head away and muttering, "Who's yours?" "Damn blabbing jerk." Zhuo Fan said a few words to the tigers. Before sending them off, he went to Blackwind Mountains Hall, which was packed with people. As it marked his final day as Luo clan steward, he had to check everything to Li with an easy heart. Li Jingtian, Shui Qingjian, Qiu Yanhai, heaven and earth sages, stepped forth. The 5 people obeyed and bowed at his command. The sages had endless admiration for him, too. They were in the 3rd layer of ethereal stage after 300 years of constant regret and suffering for being stuck at peak radiant stage. So grateful. They were devoted to the point of laying their lives down if Zhuo Fan ever asked them. "You 5 elders are the strongest and shall henceforth be Luo clan's venerables, keeping clan head and young miss safe." Zhuo Fan spoke, and the 5 nodded. "Yes, sir." Zhuge Changfeng, Lung Wuchang, and Yu Ming had a gander at Zhuo Fan's true intentions in his time as steward. Zhuo Fan only ever made Luo clan strongest, elders at best. By lifting these strongest 5 to the title of venerables, he was absolving them of the steward's control. Zhuo Fan copied the emperor, making the military and officials balance each other. Even with the bloodworms, Steward Zhuo isn't assured of young master's safety. He feared being unable to hold back these monsters. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Zhuge Changfeng. Lung Wuchang, Yu Ming to the front. Zhuo Fan called again. Zhuo Fan said, "Zhuge Changfeng shall be the steward of Luo clan, assisting clan head with the Luo alliance, effective immediately. Lung Wuchang shall be the overseer, in charge of Luo clan's resource collection and related matters. Yu Ming is to be the military advisor, assisting the Shadow Corps and Dugu army with foreign intelligence and raids." Startled, the trio resigned themselves. "Yes, sir." Zhuo Fan had effectively cut their jurisdiction, with each holding the other in check. Zhuge Changfeng had people to handle as he was in charge of the Luo alliance. Lung Wuchang was in charge of the economy, having a monopoly on all the resources, while Yu Ming had the military. These 3 powers helped each other while also holding each other back. It was obvious not everything was at their whims, flicking them away. Zhuo Fan went on with his preparations and repeated warnings, to Lei Yuding and Lei Yuntian in particular. Being enemies with Yu Ming just wouldn't do yet. With Yu Ming leaving Hell Valley for the Luo clan, the 2 no longer care at long last. Zhuo Fan called Luo Yinhai to his side. "Little brat, did you learn the gestures I taught you?" "Yes." Luo Yunhai was tearful, his words choking. "Give it a go, then." Zhuo Fan snickered. Luo Yunhai made a sign, and the hall was filled with all kinds of wondrous tonalities of pain and agony, resulting with the experts crumbling on the floor with the end of the torture by another sign. They collected themselves, and now had fear for the young kid. Zhuo Fan actually gave control of the bloodworms to him. The next time any of them had bad thoughts about clan head, they'd be toast worried to the extreme. They each saw the bitterness in their neighbors' eyes. Zhuo Fan smirked, nodding at their terror-stricken faces. Leaving without holding clan head in fear is not happening. "Young miss, give me the thunder ring." Zhuo Fan turned to the crying Luo Yunchang. She held the ring close to her heart as she denied. "Why? It's mine. Do you want to take it with you? You won't even leave me a keepsake?" Zhuo Fan chuckled and shook his head. He used his eye instead of talking, and the ring landed in his hand. Luo Yunchang wanted to take it back, but Zhuo Fan placed it in Luo Yunhai's hand, his tone stoic. "Clan head Luo Yunhai, today this steward shall leave, and with my return of mystery, I will be unable to see your clan head ceremony. I give you the thunder ring, for that the next time it flickers, know that I have returned. Zhou Fan's tone wasn't just for Luo Yunhai, but for everyone else, as a warning. Don't you dare think my departure is final. You better behave. Luo Yunchang halted her step and held her mouth. With eyes swimming in tears, Zhou Fan had gone above and beyond the call of duty for the Luo clan. Even forced to go to demon scheming sect. All for Luo clan's safety or with Zhou Fan's skills. Nothing, and no one would ever catch wind of him leaving this time, was because demon scheming sect had to have him. The times ahead could very well be dangerous and life-threatening. He might not even return in spite of it all. Zhou Fan's last thoughts were about Luo clan's safety, swallowing the lump in his throat. Luo Yunhai forced himself to be calm as he raised his arm with the thunder ring and proclaimed, I, Luo Yunhai, vow that this thunder ring shall be clan head's symbol for generations. Luo, alliance's token of authority. This ring represents the clan head. No matter how big the Luo alliance becomes, it will be Steward Zhuo's supporter. No matter what danger Steward Zhuo may face, be it the three sects themselves, the Luo alliance will stop at nothing, not for resources and not for men, to help Steward Zhuo. Luo Yunhai's voice echoed out. Filled with determination, Zhou Fan looked at his own thunder ring. I'm no longer of the Luo clan, and any danger I face will be unrelated to them. Yet the Luo clan would stick with him no matter what. Such a display of devotion left him touched to the core. People looked at Luo Yunhai with respect. Although young, he was loyal, a rarity in this world. Watching the all-grown-up kid, Zhou Fan smiled, patting his head. He then walked past him and stepped out. People made way for him. Watching the ineffable steward who raised a third-rate clan to be the best in Tianyu walk on by, Luo Yunhai shook, choked with emotion. He finally got a hold of himself to let out one last shout. Big brother Zhuo, you must come back. The words carried far, while Luo Yunchang sobbed next to him, her eyes red from crying at the foot of Black Wind Mountain. Zhou Fan walked among the shadows of the forest, his eyes glowing, feeling for his heart. It's not hurting. The demon is gone. Demonic Emperor Yifan and the once servant Zhou Fan were of one heart today, a firm belief that the Luo clan was safe. Yet even without the heart demon, there were many other matters inside his heart that he couldn't throw away. Chapter 513, Confession. Chapter 513, Confession. You're crying. No, something fell in my eyes. Zhou Fan turned towards the cute voice to see Yun Shuang and Yongning. He then looked away and blinked the lonely tear away and made a rushed excuse. Yun Shuang giggled, and Yongning covered her smile. All while their fondness for him grew, even this obnoxious and tyrannical steward had a hidden face. What are you two doing here? Shuanger, as the Yin clan head, weren't you saying you'd take your clan around Black Wind Mountain to establish an observatory? Angry, the two girls saw something unmanly. Zhou Fan snorted to these two, though. He looked like pouting, and they laughed. Yin Shuang had a soft gaze. You saved the people, and you took revenge for my grandfather. Now that you are leaving, I must see you off and give my gratitude. No need. It was all in passing, just by chance. Zhou Fan shook his hand and mocked. I was never someone to do good, only thinking about ruining my enemy. If it were a righteous and benevolent ruler standing in my way, I might be the one throwing these people in chaos. My eyes only see my opponent and nothing else. Yin Shuang frowned, but shook her head. You always call yourself evil, and maybe consider yourself to be heinous, but unlike all those twisted people, you have a sliver of conscience. You're redeemable, that's why. Yun Shuang blushed and came up to him to whisper in his ear these sweet words. I shall follow grandfather's wish and will always be in Luo clan, waiting for you to save you from eternal damnation and become a good man. Even if you aren't willing, I'll just stick with you forever. Zhou Fan shook, his face taking an odd expression. He saw Yun Shuang blush harder. Her clear eyes filled with unspeakable softness. Yun Shuang avoided his gaze and muttered, No matter if you want to or not, remember our promise. You must come back. Yun Shuang skipped away while hugging her face. Though now her ears were red, Zhou Fan blinked in a daze. What promise? You decided all by yourself without asking me. Just who could have taught her how to behave so rudely? Why does it feel like me, though? Yongning giggled and presented a green bracelet with tender eyes. Fan, look after it. My mother left it for me. We will be worlds apart now, but never forget me. Save it. There's no reason why I should take your bracelet, let alone always remember you. What the hell are you up to? Fan glared glum. Yongning resorted to stomping. Are you dense as a brick or what? I can't be any more obvious than that. You're not happy unless I spit it out? Fan raised a suspicious eyebrow. Yongning shouted in annoyance. Fan, I shall inform you today that this princess has taken a liking to you. I have made the trip to Blackwind Mountain to be around you more and grow closer. Yet just as I've arrived, you plan on leaving. No choice but to use the last resort, exchanging vows through keepsakes in hope that you will never forget me. Wait, hold your horses. Fan waved all over the place. Your Highness, are you high? We barely know each other. There's nothing between us. Isn't it a bit sudden dumping this on me now? Not one bit. Haven't you heard of love at first sight? Yongning blinked her purty eyes. Mom used to tell me as a child that no matter the danger, never fear. Because Prince Charming will come from the heavens, holding me in his safe embrace and keeping the danger at bay. On that day, outside the Imperial Palace, the same moment my life was at peril, you appeared. It's just like Mom said. You're my destiny. Face twitching, Fan sighed. Princess, that's just a fairy tale for children. You're too old to be reading those. No, this is my mother's will that I must honor, just like Schwanger grandfather's will. Besides, you accepted Schwanger, so why not me as well? I do not care for being second since we're close as sisters. When did I do that? Fan was confused. Didn't she just say she'll be with you for life? Not refusing is accepting. Someone like her, so kind and shy, taking the initiative is remarkable. And I, too, shall lower my status by throwing myself in your arms, willing to share you with others. That's even more remarkable. Grinning, Yongning noticed the stars in his eyes, presenting the bracelet like a nice, alluring ante to a sweet little boy. Fan, take it, and we will be together forever in happiness. Gulping, the once fearless steward crumbled in sweat on the battlefield of love with such a mighty adversary like General Yongning. They were right. Women are just like tigers. Princess, calm down now. I am, but nobody with even my life uncertain. You need to be cautious before being with me. Your end will be bitter. I am cautious. A wife follows her husband. She'll remain a widow for life. But I am more than happy to walk this path. Like you always say, follow your heart. This is what I'm doing, listening to your words. Yongning giggled with her eyes, tinted with desire. Fan grimaced and felt like slapping his rotten mouth. That's what I get from spewing crap. Now I have to answer for it. Princess, take it easy. You, a glorious princess, should have a better future. Like the 4 tigers, yes, they're renowned generals, always crying for a wife. Think them over. Don't want to. I only need you in my life. I am dead serious. Yongning blinked her charming eyes at him. Even our tempers match. Match your head. I felt sorry for leaving Luo clan, but now I see that I need to get out of here fast. Thinking so, he then jerked his head and pointed behind her. Schwanger, did you come back for Princess? Schwanger. Yongning turned. It was the window he desperately desired, and Fan grasped it like his life depended on it. Yongning did look back at him, only to find him gone stomping. Yongning looked bitterly at the bracelet, her eyes clouded with anger. I only wanted you to take my keepsake to remember me by. I'm no tiger, so why did you run off? Humph, stinker. A chilly wind passed by her legs. Standing there, she had lost her lively spirit. Now turned desolate with tears streaming down her face, she, a great princess, had just made her first confession only to be rejected like that somewhere else. Fan appeared a mile away from Blackwind Mountain, filled with trepidation. He didn't hate the ladies, but no way was he going to accept them. Their sincerity is touching enough, but I'm a demon. He wouldn't fall in love out of principle. He had been like this all his life, and it had turned into natural behavior. His heart was too heavy for it to contain love. while that made dealing with hypocrites a breeze. Wait, another soft voice stopped him, and all he could do was look at the sky with a long drawn-out sigh. For the love of all that's holy on this God's green earth, am I the only man alive here? Where are all these girls coming at me for? Zhuo Fan turned around lazily, only to jerk at the sight of her. It was Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Long Kuei. The lass never liked him, and every time they talked, they always ended up bickering. Just like enemies when Luo clan was still a no-name clan, this girl looked down on these hicks. For the same reason, he made the 10-year promise in anger that Luo clan would rise above all the houses. Zhuo Fan almost forgot it had been that long. But on seeing her, an evil fire lit up in his heart. Hey, damn lass, right on time. I'm going to show off till you drop. Long Kuei noticed him jerk at her call, then a trepidation, and lastly confusion, but right now, he had turned evil, putting on a haughty look, his nose way high. She was lost to what came onto him. What's with him changing tunes in a split second? Did he hit his head or something? Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Heard you were leaving Tianyu. Long Kuei said softly. Zhuo Fan smiled. Word sure travels fast. Why? Have you come to see me off? Of sorts. What matters is the promise from 10 years ago. Long Kuei smiled. Zhuo Fan was stumped. That was supposed to be his line, to mock the lass and put her down. Why is she the one bringing it up? It was the same as getting paid rent without asking for it. It made no sense. Long Kuei saw past his angelic face and smiled. 10 years ago I was young and rash, looking down on you in my ignorance and speaking out of place. I offer you my deepest and sincerest apology. Long Kuei made a deep bow. Zhuo Fan was speechless. All the work I put into showing off just got washed away. With the other person apologetic, he had nothing to build his act on. He could only shirk it off. It's fine. I already forgot such trifles. Ha. Liar. Long Kuei straightened up and her eyes took a crafty glint. You've surpassed everything that stood in your way these years, turning a nameless clan into a monster. A commendable act no ordinary person could ever achieve. I have seen your trail one step at a time, and you have left me stunned every single time. I now understand why you mustn't look down on youth. Ha. You're too kind, please. Zhuo Fan chuckled, beaming with the pride of his achievements. The last sure holds me in high regard. His pride was short-lived, though, as Long Kuei drove her attack fully in, catching Zhuo Fan on the wrong foot. Crud, she got me. Though you can't look down on youth, is it fine to pick on defenseless girls? Long Kuei's tone had some bite. Zhuo Fan was lost for words. Long Kuei's apology was fake in order to condemn him. It was all smoke and mirrors to lift him high, only to slam him down to earth with a well-placed blow to the hypothetical gut. She fed my ego to strike back. The day finally came for even the grand Zhuo Fan to grow, so complacent to fall for such a basic trick. Zhuo Fan worked his brain matter for some excuse, only to come empty, not getting why Long Kuei got so aggressive. He put on an awkward smile. Miss Long Kuei, why, may I ask, are you so angry? Why? You should ask yourself, humph. Long Kuei glared. Did you not go to Pavilion Lord with a proposal to marry me off to that accursed tub of lard? Oh, so that's how it is. Zhuo Fan cooled on the spot. Having grasped the reason, I was just the messenger. I didn't force anyone. The decision was up to Pavilion Lord Long. Though, what? Long Kuei frowned. Zhuo Fan snickered. Though he's the only tub of lard offering such a grand betrothal gift. Pavilion Lord Long couldn't refuse, even if he wanted to. In fact, I don't think anyone could. That's a 1,000-mile stretch of fertile land. For Fatty to offer so much only goes to show his love for you. You will have happiness. Humph, my happiness is my business. A busybody like you has no right to interfere. Long Kuei's anger burned even hotter. Zhuo Fan slumped his shoulders and shook his head. All I did was to pass along a brother's words. You could be against it all you want, but take it out on Pavilion Lord Long and Fatty, not me. I'm leaving Tianyu and don't need any more annoyances. Zhuo Fan, playing the victim, only incensed her into shouting. Some brother you are? Would you have done the same if Fatty wanted Ninga? Zhua Fan frowned. His heart a mess, his eyes darkened, and his heart grew icy. But that didn't stop Long Kuei's berating. What if he went for Chu Qingsheng? Would you play the messenger then as well? Zhua Fan's heart sank, finding it impossible to make a coherent sentence. Just standing there with a hardened gaze, the answer to that was clear. A resounding no. Long Kuei struck a frail figure as she nodded. I see. Next month I will marry His Majesty. Ashamed, the best steward in Tianyu, the great steward Zhua, won't be there to see it. Long Kuei sighed, rambling on before walking away in silence. Zhua Fan noticed as she turned, 2 trails falling down her cheeks. Zhua Fan had a puzzled gaze as he saw Long Kuei, empty inside, and rambling on. Wasn't she blaming me just now? How is it that she's the one to leave defeated? Doesn't that happen after a big fuss or fight or something? Peculiar. Zhua Fan shook his head and sighed, putting this affair behind him as he went on his way. Oddly enough, no one noticed Fatty, and Fong Qiubai close by Fatty's side. Brother Zhua, I can never take you on, but I can play little tricks. Your Majesty, this should make her give up. Fong Qiubai turned to Long Kuei. Fatty nodded with a wise gaze. The proposal would have worked with that stretch of land alone. But to have little Kuei look forward to the wedding is impossible, not while she loves someone else. Zhua Fan. Fong Qiubai spoke firmly. Fatty smiled. Correct. Ever since Luo clan ceremony, outside the imperial palace, I saw something growing in little Kuei for the brat. I was hesitating whether to fight such a man over a woman, only to find it wasn't necessary. Little Kuei's one-sided love was something he had no clue of, nor did he much care for her. This was little Kuei's path she had to take herself. So I had Zhua Fan be the messenger, making it look like Zhua Fan threw little Kuei into my lap. In pain, little Kuei had to come to Zhua Fan to confirm it. Now she knows there's no place for her in his heart, and should give up. A woman with a dead heart will be sure to accept her fate next to me as Empress. What if Zhua Fan finds out? With his mean streak. Fong Qiubai frowned. Fatty waved it off with a smile. No worries. Do you know why, despite his sharp mind, did I still get to use him? He never gave a damn about little Kuei, so he just overlooked everything. I borrowed his luck with women, but he didn't lose either. In fact, by having Veiled Dragon Pavilion enter the Luo clan, even if he did find out, it won't matter. I have finally grasped Zhua Fan's character. He is selfish and won't act unless someone encroaches on his people. Ha ha. Fatty's eyes shone with wisdom. He turned and said, Sir Fong, any news of the second brother? No, he has disappeared. Fong Qiubai shook his head. Fatty shouted, keep searching. Don't stop until I see him or his corpse. In the meantime, Zhua Fan went to the meeting place with the demon scheming sect. Then, cackles announced the arrival of 4 black smokes. They took the form of the 4 scheming demons. You're the one receiving me? Ha ha, that's great. Zhua Fan laughed. The 4 pygmies were ordered to return to the sect before the war with Xuanrong. By the Impermanence 5, they had spent too long outside after busting out of prison and had to get back to the sect helpless. The 4 pygmies returned to get their punishment. Zhua Fan figured he'd never see them again, either put in a corner or thrown in jail again. Yet here they were, as Xie Weiyue's men acting as his guide to the sect. He was pleasantly surprised. With the sect in a remote and hidden area, the secular world having no clue of its location, only its disciples could guide him there, and since they all knew each other, it'd make the trip easier. But the 4 scheming demons, on seeing that it was Zhua Fan, puffed out in cockiness, with Violent Demon presenting a jade slip with all the arrogance he had. Are you ready to enter our sect, new disciple? We are the Demonic Cultivator Hero Quartet, the greatest and handsomest in the demon scheming sect, for scheming demons, coming to receive you. State your name, age, birthplace, date of birth, cultivation. Do you shits have such short memories? Allow me the honor of refreshing it, of those thrilling moments long past. Zhua Fan made a sign. The 4 screamed in pain, now rolling on the floor from the bloodworms, acting up. Steward Zhua, we never. It was all a joke, see? Let's go. Steward Zhua, we're just doing our job. You'll soon be a disciple while we have a higher status. You can't always treat us like this. Steward Zhua, it hurts. I can't take it. Make it stop. The four demons flounced around in pain and pleaded. Juefan only smiled, his eyes icy. No matter how high you climb, get this straight. No matter where I go, I will never be beneath anyone. Chapter 515. Bumping in a Mystical Heaven Sect. Chapter 515. Bumping in a Mystical Heaven Sect. Steward Joie, your temper hasn't changed, I see. Still as violent. On a gloomy lone path, 5 people walked. A youth with a sinister smile and 4 5-foot midgets. Violent demon was fanning Juefan and sucking up at the same time. Juefan mocked. Do you think less than half a year is enough to change anyone? Then again, you 4 shits only get more outrageous after a few days away from my side. You even had the nerve to show off to me. Steward Joie, please, that was just the perks of the job. Wimp Demon explained. Besides, the sect is filled with nasty people, always acting tough to the newbies. We were only helping you stay out of trouble. Juefan raised an eyebrow. Did you just think I'll be railroaded? The 4 jerked and shook their heads at once. Violent Demon cuffed Wimp Demon over the head. Ignorant fool. Who do you take Steward Joie for? It's already a miracle if he doesn't railroad others. But if others did that to him, that's a death sentence. All bobbed, Juefan included, others aside. If you don't know me by now after all this time, now that's ridiculous. A mere demon scheming sect, an average sect of the mortal domain, can't have anyone that can stand up to me. Juefan's grin widened. Violent Demon checked the time and was all wishy-washy. Steward, there's the matter of overdoing things. We should hurry along, since we're already late. It won't do for us to earn sect leaders' ire. Let's fly at least. Where's the fire? I've been cooped up in Tianyu for years, and now that I get to travel, can't I enjoy the view, have a taste of the great outdoors? Juefan shot him down. He had no intention of fitting in just yet. Who knows when he'd get out. He'd need approval for any outing or relaxation once institutionalized, and with no place to vent, he'd go stir crazy. So if he could drag it out, he'd go the distance, on foot. The 4 scheming demons, though, were feeling quite tense. It was a mission from the sect to receive new disciples. Being late would get the sect leader on their backs, the one who they couldn't mess with, yet he paled in comparison to this new guy, the great Steward Joie. Having fed them bloodworms, they'd be on someone's bad side no matter the choice, and the 4 felt like crying since when did taking in a new disciple become such a toil? To any rowdy disciple, there were so many ways to get him to wait on the guides. By the time they reached the sect, he'd be a meek lamb while on this lore before them. The usual tricks never worked. In fact, they'd be happy if this steward stopped waiting on them, to say nothing of what other dirty tricks his twisted mind might cook up. One wrong word, and it'd be hell on earth. This is no new disciple, but an ancestor's detail. Steward Joie, think of our fond times together and help us out a little. Let's fly. We could just carry you if you want. Going like this will really make us run late. Violent Demon implored while sobbing. The other 3 put on sad faces and puppy eyes. Juefan eyed them and snorted. What are you scared of? See how Wiyue invited me in. You think he'd mind some slight delay? Bro, he won't mind it with you, but he'll ruin us. Violent Demon cried a river and wailed. Steward Joie, we've risked life and limb in the old days for you. You can't always treat us like dirt, or the sect leader will have us thrown in a thunder prison for another century. The others nodded with pleading faces. Juefan shook his head and sighed. Fine, we'll fly as a favor for those days. But you'll carry me. Yes, sir. The 4 grew ecstatic, and Juefan shook his head. It must have everything in a tight grip to have even these wild and unpredictable pygmies wrecked with fear. The 4 joined hands in lifting Juefan high above. Juefan closed his eyes, feeling soothed just like in a deck chair of the clear blue sky. The warm rays of the sun all felt like utter bliss. Though the fighting sounds from a nearby woods broke the mood. The 4 scheming demons looked at each other to see the glee in their eyes. Someone's fighting. Let's have a look-see. Wimp Demon said. Thrilled Violent Demon was in total agreement. Who is it, I wonder? Such a ruckus is bound to be interesting. Even if it is, should we go? We don't have much time left to return. Scrooge Demon calculated the pros and cons. Sly Demon asked the final question, do we go or not? After a moment of silence, looking at each other's eyes, the four's decision was unanimous. Damn right we go. They threw Fan off their backs while they turned into black smoke to go in the battle's direction. Fan had some me time, basking in the sun's warm glow, only to have a very rude awakening. Smashing face first into the ground with a raging glare, he searched his quarry, to find none. Blast and thunder. Now I see why Siawiyue would want to throw them in prison for a century. It'd be a thou dash 10,000 years if it were me. Fan patted the dust off of him, his face burning with rage. And noticing the sounds, he flew straight towards it with an insidious mind. You like to watch, don't you? See how I'll make you the stars of the show. 15 minutes later, Fan found the pygmies at a valley entrance. With their butts stuck out and heads in a bush, Fan grinned and grabbed them. Now I got you, you little shits. The four panicked all right, yet for some odd reason, they kept shushing him while pointing at the bush. Fan paused, noticing it was an odd behavior even for these clowns. Curiosity got the better of him as he let them go and stuck his head into the bush. The valley was more like a trench. Their bush's position offered a good vantage point and clear view to the sheer drop below, and the two groups of men at the bottom. One was clothed in black, with the character for soul written on them, exploding with savage energy, demonic cultivators. While the other side wore all white with the word mystical sewn in golden on one of their shoulders. The two sides were in a deadlock, their eyes only for the small plant with 3 leaves of red, yellow, and blue between them. Its intoxicating aroma was felt all the way up to the spectators. 9th grade spiritual herb, tricolor soul fixing grass. Fan, muttered Violent Demon, used this prime chance to suck up. Steward Jua is wise and far-seeing. It is indeed the rare tricolor soul fixing grass. The pill made from it can protect one's soul from scattering. Even after months of soul drifting, you'll still be at peak. It is the most rare and precious herb in assuring an ethereal stage expert's life. Fan nodded. For anyone below the ethereal stage, it would keep their soul in one piece and save their life if he had it when Ninger soul was wounded. He wouldn't have needed Siawiyue, while in the case of an ethereal stage expert, it would slow down the decay of the soul while devoid of a body and help them seize another, if elder she had it. He wouldn't have panicked so much on losing his body. Tricolor soul fixing grass was such a rare safety measure that one would be hard-pressed to find it even in sections, which explain the impasse below. Do you know who they are? Fan asked. Violent Demon nodded softly. Steward, those in black are from the Demon Soul sect, demonic cultivators like us, both of different factions. Their sect is even stronger than ours, best left alone. While the ones in white are on our side, from one of Tianyu's 3 guardian sects, mystical heaven sect. But righteous and demonic factions can't coexist, walking different paths. Mystical heaven sect. Fan was shocked. Isn't that the same one grandmother said Qin Cheng went to? Chapter 516, Third Master Han. Chapter 516, Third Master Han. Third Master Han, our sect found the herb first. What is the meaning of your presence here? Are you trying to steal it? The leader of the mystical heaven sects group was a charming and valiant girl. Her eyebrows delicate, her eyes pure, complementing her beauty and tenderness, but the fire in her worked as a deterrence, especially that ancient jade sword. Unleashing a chilling and sharp sword intent, even sheathed none from the demon soul sect met her gaze. Afraid the sword intent might split their heads open on contact, one feminine man, with a sneer and sinister air, had no qualms about facing off. Jade Sword Fairy of mystical heaven sect, Shui Rohua, is worthy of her reputation. Even unpolished can exude her brilliance. Sword still in its sheath, yet the sword intent can cripple one's heart. I bow before the master. Enough patronizing. Do you give up the spiritual herb or not? Shui Rohua spat. Young Master Han smirked. Spiritual herbs have no owner, belonging to the one who can get it first. Why should we give it to you? Then again, dual cultivation in the company of Fairy Rohua might give me pause. Swine. Shui Rohua blushed and her sword came out the sheath waves of light, and sword energy flashed about as it whistled for Han Sanshao. Like a dragon, anyone struck by would find himself an extra large breathing hole from up above. Zhou Fan lauded her in silence. Women like her are quite rare, unleashing such a sharp sword strike. She's just like that sword fanatic, Xie Tianshang. I bet she's a real feisty one, even casually. Yet no matter how good the attack was, with her being in the 5th layer of Radiant Stage and him in the 7th, it wouldn't hit anything if he had some skills as well, to say nothing of the danger. It only got worse from here. By unleashing such a strong attack, she left herself open for a killing blow. Zhou Fan sighed sure as he lived. Han Sanshao laughed at the incoming sword, reacting with a palm attack. Great timing. Since Fairy Ruohua has no qualms, neither will I. A 2-meter-tall scarlet palm shot in front of him, high profound martial art, soul-seeking scarlet palm. With a muffled sound, the sword in the scarlet hand clashed into a deadlock. Shui Ruohua lapsed for a second, then gnashed her teeth as she pushed the sword forward harder, while Han Sanshao waved and the palm split into countless stars, hammering Shui Ruohua's body. Being so close didn't give her room to react. She was flung away and spat dark blood, senior's sister. Her group shouted while the demon soul sect sighed, snickered. Han Sanshao mocked. Jade Sword Fairy, your sect is but a low-ranked one while ours is a mid-level sect. We are better than you in every way, be it martial arts or cultivation methods. You've seen it yourself. So walk away, knowing your limits, and not fight us over the herb. So what if you got dibs? In this world, power is everything. Everything belongs to the winner. Han Sanshao snorted up on the vantage point. The 4 scheming demons laughed inside and nodded. The dumb broad is toast. She asked for it, going against the demonic cultivator. Violent demon laughed at her expense. Sly demon giggled. That's not all. If the young leader from the demon soul sect took her away to dual cultivate, that old foggy from mystical heaven sect would choke on it. Hi. True. The rest bobbed their heads. Excitedly, Zhou Fan asked, do you mean to say demon scheming sect and mystical heaven sect are bitter enemies? Why do I get the feeling that you want mystical heaven sect to suffer a worse fate? Nope, we can't stand either of them, but mystical heaven sect is on a righteous path. As demonic cultivators, we want nothing more than to see them squirm. Violent demon laughed. Zhou Fan shook his head. Be that as it may, such a course of action was born out of ignorance. Tallying everything up, one looked at the profits and not one's alignment, all to further one's self-interests. Yu Ming escaped the interests of his house to achieve what he was now, standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wu Chang. If all of the demons' scheming sect was so narrow-minded, its future was hopeless. With a faint sound, Shui Ruohua leaned on her sword to stand, watching the herb with a killing gaze again. Shui Ruohua lifted her sword with gnashed teeth, facing Han Sanshao again. Han Sanshao frowned. You've lost. Going further will mean death. Is that what you want? Hand over the herb or take my life. Shui Ruohua's eyebrows shook, filled with unwillingness. The life of my young master depends on that herb. I must have it. Han Sanshao mocked. Oh, that retard? Ha. Death suits him better. What's a born cripple like him still living for, taking up space? Shut up. I won't let anything happen to my dear brother. Shui Ruohua stomped as she thrust her sword. Her attack this time was far weaker, not even a tenth of the first. The wounds were taking their toll on her. Han Sanshao waved in mockery and unleashed a gale with a loud sound. Shui Ruohua flew and spat blood again. Her eyes were desperate and hopelessly in tears. Little brother, forgive me. I can't protect you. At this particular moment, her body stopped, feeling a strong arm holding her. But what came into sight was a foreign face. Why, you're... Shui Ruohua spoke weakly. Zhou Fan smiled. We don't know each other. It's just that Miss character is very much like someone I know. Zhou Fan was reminded of Chu Qingqing and her desperate attempts to save drifting flowers edifices. He sighed. You're so much alike. I'm sure you be close friends. Shui Ruohua frowned. not understanding any of his words. Hi, hi, hi. Creepy laughter announced the arrival of 4 black trails of smoke. The 4 scheming demons were standing there while cackling. Ha ha ha. When 2 fight, the 3rd wins. You guys continue, while the demon scheming sect takes the 9th grade herb. The demon scheming sect? Shui Roi was on guard around Zhuo Fan. Pushing away from him in a rush, Han Sanshao raised an eyebrow at the 4. Demon scheming sect? A herb was discovered, yet here are 3 great sects fighting over it. Things sure got interesting. Zhuo Fan smiled and shook his head at the demons. You 4 repeat what you said. The spiritual herb is ours. Right, Steward Zhuo? Violent demon beamed. The resounding crack on his face was Zhuo Fan's answer, along with a serious tongue lashing, of course. Right, your rotten head. You've been around me for so long, and you can't even tell that much about me? Is a 9th grade herb worth fighting for? Are you beggars? Ugh. Zhuo Fan's shout echoed around the gorge, and the demons looked down with crestfallen faces, while Mystical Heaven Sect and Demon Soul Sect grimaced. Who the heck is he? Are you calling us beggars? Is that it? Han Sanshao's smile iced over. Since when did Demon Scheming Sect got so tough, so rich, that even a 6th layer of profound heaven disciple spits on a 9th grade herb? That would mean we, the mid-level Demon Soul Sect, should be currying favor with the Demon Scheming Sect. Moneybags, let's be friends. Han Sanshao patronized, and the rest of the Demon Soul Sect party laughed. Where the hell did he crawl out of? He's putting up such an exaggerated show. No one will believe him. 9th grade herb aside, the entirety of Western lands had no sect that outstanding, but the 4 scheming demons knew something they didn't as they saw the unfazed mocking smile on Zhuo Fan's Steward Zhuo. Since you don't want it, what do we run over here for? Couldn't we just watch the live show? Violent demon asked, holding his burning cheek. Zhuo Fan smiled as he pointed at Shui Rohua. I came here for one reason, to save her. All stood speechless. Since when did the demon scheming sects people save Mystical Heaven sects? Whenever the 2 sides met, there was bound to be an altercation. Shui Rohua was just as stunned, but blushed at his hard gaze, her heart jumping around inside. What is he trying to pull? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Clap. Han Sanshao had a savage look as he watched Zhuo Fan with a light clap. Oh, a hero in shining armor. And here I thought some reject had jumped in. That being said, you must have good taste like mine to set your eyes on such a fine fairy for dual cultivation. Demon Soul Sect sighed, snickered. Shui Rohua grew angry as she watched the 2 with her guard up and her heart stuck in her throat. They're both the worst. If worst comes to worst, I would rather kill myself than let them touch me. Those on Mystical Heaven Sect side were all keyed up, their brows soaked in sweat. What rotten luck, meeting 2 demonic sects and both are enamored by Senior Sister's looks. Her killer body is going to kill us all. Zhuo Fan eyed them coldly before stopping on Han Sanshao with a smile. All I want is easy. Save the girl and take the herb. If you have your head on straight, you'd scatter this instant before you regret it. Regret it? Ha ha ha. Who will make me regret it, you? Just a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator? Han Sanshao had heard the joke of the century, laughing harder. Looking closer at Zhuo Fan's party, something clicked in him and he mocked. Are you Xie Wuyue's son? Being all cocky in the sect, and now you've come out to die. Didn't your dad ever tell you to keep your head down? Mystical Heaven Sect side was filled with doubt. Demon Scheming Sect leader has a son. They were both Tianyu's 3 guardian sects. So how come they've never heard of him? Zhuo Fan chuckled. What gave you that idea? It's those 4 little freaks behind you. They're in the 6th layer of Radiant Stage, elders or executives of the sect. They'd never show such respect to just any disciple. Han Sanshao put on a prideful look, having seen it all, yet a profound heaven disciple like you berated and slapped them, and yet they showed no anger. It's clear as day that you're above them in the sect. The only possibility for a profound heaven disciple to piss on Radiant Stage experts is if you were sect leader's son. Han Sanshao's analysis was so damn logical, even Mystical Heaven Sect side watched Zhuo Fan speechless. He must be Xie Wuyue's son after all. But why haven't we ever heard of him? Demon scheming sect, sure, knows how to work in secret. Zhuo Fan only smiled. Inside it made so much sense that even Zhuo Fan would reach the same conclusion if the roles were reversed, with how profound heaven cultivators putting radiant stage experts in their place were scarcer than a hen's teeth. The only thing that fits here besides secondhand power was true personal strength, but that was way too outrageous. And yet that's how Zhuo Fan had been operating and getting wins. Leaning only on his own two hands, scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan smiled. Judging by appearances, I see. But that's fine, as long as it gets the job done and you won't butt in, I won't care. Zhuo Fan walked over to the herb with a carefree look, as if everyone present was beneath him. He never considered anyone their roadblock. Cruising over to fetch the herb, Zhuo Fan swagger on like a hot shot, big shot, and the like. And all she could react with was a dumb look. Zhuo Fan's attitude was unlike the hostile demonic cultivators, while also filled with a greater calm than your average person. Han Sanxiao's eyes went cold, and his mouth formed a sneer. It all makes sense now. Why Xie Wuyue's son wasn't known? He's not worth anything. A demonic cultivator, and yet not one demonic bone in his back makes him a garbage. Someone go out there and teach this nobody a lesson. Yes, sir. A tough guy with thick arms cupped his hands as his aura exploded with the power of a ninth-layer profound heaven stage whoosh. The guy flashed in Zhuo Fan's face and punched while ridiculing. Ha! Dumb brat. This is what you get for looking at young master's possession and girl. Die. Hi. Death begets all who mess with our steward Zhuo. With a creepy laughter, 4 smoke trails came from behind Zhuo Fan. The big guy jerked, finding himself pulled by his limbs in 4 directions. Following the cackle, for bloody parts dyed the ground with blood and gore, mystical heaven sect's brows shook, scared by a little blood and guts. Who the hell are they? It's too savage even for a demonic cultivator, yet these 4 have no qualms doing it. We get that you want to save your boss, kid, but that guy was just a profound heaven cultivator. Isn't it just a little bit overkill for 4 radiant stage experts to tear him apart? This was 4 scheming demons' nature, not giving a hoot about the other side's level or numbers. We 4 have always worked together. What? Got a problem? Bring it, if you have the guts. Han Sanxiao barked. Such valor from demon scheming sect, killing someone from the demon soul sect. You 4 are dead. Han Sanxiao shot for them. 4 scheming demons snickered, turning into smoke. 4 radiant stage experts in the 6th layer were about to fight one in the 7th layer, but 4 scheming demons' eerie moves and combined form had them on the advantage. Han Sanxiao sensed the strangeness of the enemy, yet snickered. That form is just like my sect's shadow array. If you think you can beat me with just that, think again. 7th grade demonic treasure, soul, spider net. Han Sanxiao flicked something gray at the 4 pygmies. It unveiled itself to their shock and trapped all 4 of them tight. Not even a smoke could they get out, and the net kept tightening, sticking the 4 close to each other, so hard they couldn't even breathe. Steward Zhuo, save us. This thing is wicked. The pygmies wailed their distress and begged as the pain mounted and the net shrank. Haha. Han Sanxiao mocked. Some 6th-layer radiant stage experts you are, begging a profound heaven cultivator for help. Ha, this is too funny. Laugh it up. Messing with us means messing with Steward Zhuo. And messing with Steward Zhuo will have your head rolling. Ha. Violent demon cackled despite his plight as bros copied him, knowing full well that Zhuo Fan had their backs. And that was all they needed. The only way to get these 4 to truly beg for life with snot on their faces was if he lost, as well. Zhuo Fan was their thick leg, their tree, their rock. Han Sanxiao frowned. Contrary to his belief, the 4 pygmies weren't Zhuo Fan's bodyguards. The norm would be to beg for life, be stubborn till death, or urge their young master to flee. Why then are these guys not one bit afraid? Not for them, or for the young master. They aren't worried at all. The muffled sound roused Han Sanxiao from his thoughts to see Zhuo Fan wearing the same cocky look on his stroll for the herb. The hell? He doesn't care about the fight he just got out of, or that the 4 are trapped. Han Sanxiao's suspicions of Zhuo Fan only grew and grew in this case. There are only 2 possibilities. He's either an ignorant fool, blind to danger, or of such a stable mind, not even the crumbling world could faze. The latter makes him a tough adversary. Han Sanshao stood still as he saw Zhuo Fan take the herb with a smile, and then walk back to Shui Ruohua. It was the same casual gait, same poise, like the world wasn't even there. The mood grew odd, with the audience too tense to twitch. Only Zhuo Fan was walking calmly. Demon Soul Sect watched Han Sanshao with a questioning gaze. Young master, are you just going to ignore his blatant disregard of us? Han Sanshao never left Zhuo Fan out of his sight. Unable to come up with a way to deal with this situation, Zhuo Fan was just too freaky in his demeanor, throwing all his thinking into disarray, while Shui Ruohua had a dull look, bearing a faint smile, and her heart was a mess. Just what is this demonic cultivator up to? Chapter 518. She's very well. Chapter 518. She's very well. You want this herb? Dangling the herb in Shui Ruohua's face, Zhuo Fan smiled. With how hard you fought for it, you must have wanted it. Shui Ruohua stared at him, on high alert. What do you want? Clever. There's no free lunch in the world. You always have to pay something when you want something. Zhuo Fan roamed his eyes over her, truly alike. Eyes going red, Shui Ruohua faltered back. Her mouth was bloody, her cheeks pale, but her eyes still glared. Demonic cultivator scum, keep dreaming. Don't think you can just have your way with me. Mystical Heaven Sect stared at Zhuo Fan as well. Ha ha ha. Even your temper is the same, just as stubborn. Zhuo Fan ignored everything and only smiled. Miss, I have no intention to dual cultivate with you, nor bear any ill will. I only have some questions. I hope you'll be honest in exchange for the herb. Shui Ruohua gave him a long look. Zhuo Fan's courteous manner was unlike any demonic cultivator she knew, earning some brownie points, but also suspicion. Is he even a demonic cultivator? Zhuo Fan smiled. I'll take Miss Silence as agreement. Who said? Zhuo Fan's question cut her off. Pardon me, miss, but does your sect have someone called Chu Qingcheng, hailing from Tianyu's Drifting Flowers edifices? Shui Ruohua nodded. Junior sister Qingcheng is master's new disciple, and she does come from Tianyu. Do you know her? Ha ha ha. So she really is in Mystical Heaven Sect. Zhuo Fan beamed. Then, how is she? Zhuo Fan's heart tensed at the question, hanging on Shui Ruohua's reply. He hid his impatience well, but not from a woman's intuition. Shui Ruohua was troubled, nodding. Shui Ruohua said, Junior sister is master's last disciple and is always taken care of. She is very well. Great. Zhuo Fan eased a breath, feeling a weight off his shoulders. If Chu Qingcheng was having a bad time in Mystical Heaven Sect, he'd be feeling guilty. He finally calmed down, handing over the herb. Zhuo Fan smiled. Thank you. This is for you. Shui Ruohua couldn't believe her eyes. He was serious about wanting only answers in exchange for the 9th grade herb, to say nothing about how common knowledge the information he asked was. He only wanted to know about her junior sister. Shui Ruohua asked, Who are you? What is your relation to junior sister Chu? That is not your concern, miss. You don't need to know about me, and you'd best keep silent about our talk around her as well. The deal is done, so take the herb and go. Zhuo Fan shooed her, his expression flat. What's with him changing tunes so fast? He was so polite a second ago, yet is so indifferent now. Just over some questions? Shui Ruohua was puzzled. Even as she got it right, Zhuo Fan got what he wanted, and had shirked all pretenses. Han Sanshao laughed. What are you two whispering about over there? In the end, strength is all that matters. Who's going to stop me from getting what I want anyway? Shui Ruohua tensed up, her mood heavy, right? They only got the herb because Han Sanshao never interfered. Now that he would, she could kiss the herb goodbye, but he'd have another thing coming if he thought she'd just hand it over. Everyone looked at each other in hesitation, sighing. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. One should know his limits and not jump all over the place without power. Zhuo Fan now walked towards Han Sanshao, same old prancing, causing Han Sanshao to turn solemn for some odd reason. He felt put off by a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator. Kid, you took the words right out of my mouth. Without strength, you'd better stop bouncing around. It's more apt in your case than theirs. Han Sanshao probed. Zhuo Fan mocked. You've got it all wrong. It's not for them, but you. Cocky prick. Han Sanshao unleashed his soul power at Zhuo Fan while shouting, "What could a puny, profound heaven cultivator possibly teach me?" Zhuo Fan's mouth perked up into a smirk, releasing a soul attack bam. The air around the clash shimmered, with Han Sanshao faltering 5 steps and looking at Zhuo Fan like he was a monster. Zhuo Fan never even budged from his place, bearing the same obnoxious attitude. There's no way a mere profound heaven cultivator soul is stronger than a 7th layer radiant stage expert like me. It makes no sense. Han Sanshao was dumbstruck, as were the rest. Who the hell is this kid? A profound heaven expert using his soul like a radiant stage expert was rare enough, but for him to even punch above his weight. Ignoring the weird looks he always seemed to get, Zhuo Fan got to the trapped scheming demons and smiled. Soul spider net, made of a spiritual bee soul to target souls. These shits were bound to be caught. Ha! Steward Zhuo, save us, please. The pygmies whined. Han Sanshao gnashed his teeth. That's a 7th grade demonic treasure only I can control. Ha ha ha, arrogant, narcissistic, and shameless to boot. Zhuo Fan threw in there. Once you know it's made of souls to capture souls, removing it is easy even without knowing the signs. Zhuo Fan's fingertip released an azure flame. He flicked, and the azure flame fell on the net with a beastly cry, wails, and crackling of fire. The net snapped apart. The 4 scheming demons cackled at their newfound freedom. Hi, hi, hi. Ignorant little gnat. Told you so? No one can match our steward Zhuo. Violent demon skipped around the other 3, joined the mockery. Han Sanshao was bug-eyed. His dear 7th grade demonic treasure had snapped like a twig, not that he had any clue about azure flame soul supremacy. As his demonic treasure was made from a beast soul, the flame had no trouble ruining it. Han Sanshao squinted, glaring at Zhuo Fan. Damn brat, faking weakness. I underestimated you. But now I will show you my true power, what it means when they say that the world will always have someone better than you. Is that so? Zhuo Fan patronized, lifting his right arm as it glowed in a ghastly red. I have no interest in fighting you, but you better remember this and never step out of line. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand. A red light flashed in everyone's eyes, followed by a kaboom as the world shook. Rocks were flying. Dust was picking up, just like the end of days as the earth swayed under their feet. The audience had to focus to stay steady, yet failed miserably, collapsing in tears. What the hell? It was the unanimous thought, scrambling all over the place for cover as the earth settled at long last, and the dust cleared. The scene had their eyes pop out of their sockets, their frail hearts stuck in their throats. The tiny gorge they were in now sported a 1,000-meter-long scar, while the center was a black abyss and its edges, worlds apart. Han Sanshao, on one side of the abyss, felt weak in the knees, looking at Zhuo Fan as if he was a monster. Where the hell did he come from? He's not human. He was lucky that Zhuo Fan didn't attack, or he'd be insta-killed. Recalling his previous taunt, Han Sanshao was seething with regret. He realized Zhuo Fan was talking about him when he spoke of not having strength. Yet he still challenged the guy, only to have a brush with death himself. In the end, Zhuo Fan said flatly, "Yours truly is not Xiaoyue's son. I am cocky enough because I am strong enough. Cross this line, and your head will roll." Han Sanshao cried inside, panicking. "You dare kill to demon soul sect's young leader, inviting a sect war?" Han Sanshao wanted to use his sect to threaten Zhuo Fan in a futile attempt to preserve a modicum of self-respect, but Zhuo Fan wasn't buying it. Dead men can't snitch. With Zhuo Fan's trademark evil smile back on his face, he scared the living daylights out of Han Sanshao. His meaning was crystal clear. If I wanted to kill you, you'd all be dead. How would you snitch to your sect, when a flick from me will have you all pulverized, with demon soul, sect, none the wiser? Han Sanshao was soaked with sweat, and he felt horror like no other. This is a demon among demons. Not showing off, just using simple words to plunge others into hell. Chapter 519. Entering Demon Scheming Sect. Chapter 519. Entering Demon Scheming Sect. Using the same light step and indifference, Zhuo Fan flew away, With the four scheming demons cackling behind him, Shui Rohua had a dull gaze watching him leave, her heart thumping. Who is he? One mystical heaven sect came over, still shaking from fear. Senior sister, he's terrifying. At least he had no ill will towards us, or we'd be goners. Yeah, another disciple nodded. To think demon scheming sect has such a horrifying disciple with power beyond his cultivation. We best return and meet with our fellow disciples to warn them. On the off chance that any of us meet that kid, the first thing to do is to run. The others echoed his sentiments. Shui Rohua watched the skies, still out of sorts, oblivious to their talks. Who is he? What is he to junior sister? Senior sister. The cry woke her from her stupor to see a disciple panicking as he pointed at the demon soul sect on the other side of the abyss. Achan Sanshao is getting up. Shui saw Han Sanshao leaning on another disciple. Watching her with malice, Shui Rohua held the herb tight, her heart on guard for any movement, though Han Sanshao just got his feet under him. As he looked at the scar just ahead of him, it filled him with fear, and he gave up, shouting, "Let's go." Han Sanshao's team was soon gone, mystical heaven sect breathed easier. Though they wondered, Han Sanshao has always been brutal in his ways. So how come he's just letting us have the herb? Is the world ending? Fool, isn't it obvious? That freak from demon scheming sect just warned him not to cross the line. So of course he won't. Not if he wants to keep his head. The others laughed, but the same guy frowned still. But didn't he just leave? What's there to fear? He might have left, but his deterrence remained. Shui Ruohua sighed. This is a clash of powerful men. You won't understand. Yet this man's simple words had demon scheming sect's third young master shaking in fear about crossing the line. Demon scheming sect now has an unapproachable man. The disciples recalled the man's flick of the hand, unleashing a gulf between the parties, and their hearts sank. Will he become our enemy? Meanwhile, Zhuofan and the pygmy quartet rushed for demon scheming sect. Violent demon went before him, saying, "Steward Zhuo, why did you save that lass? Did she catch your eye?" As if, I only wanted to know about mystical heaven sect. Zhuofan snorted. Violent demon nodded. Then why did you let the prick from demon soul sect go? It's not like Sir at all. Are you calling me the born homicidal maniac? Glaring at the four, he continued. He belongs to a great sect. One needs to think of the consequences before crossing the point of no return. Scaring him was enough. While I threatened with obliteration to keep it quiet, no secret stays hidden forever. Unless forced to, I will never go down this road. The four nodded, with violent demon giggling. Steward's manner has always been flawless, considering every aspect. Ha ha ha. No wonder Sir caught sect leader's eye, wanting you so bad. Yep, his bros echoed, sucking up to the guy. Zhuofan shook his head, then frowned. I just heard him say something about the middle three sects and lower three sections. What's that all about? Ugh. The four choked, then sighed as their glee made way for sadness. Zhuofan was baffled. Violent demon finally opened his mouth. Steward Zhuo, it's best if you never mention it, or you'll suffer so bad that not even sect leader could help. What? Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. Violent demon sighed. The western lands have 10 sections. Leaving the apex double dragon manor aside, the rest are split into the superior, the middle, and the lower three sections. The greater the power of a sect, the more pull and resources it has. Demon Soul Sect belongs to the middle three sects, while Demon Scheming Sect and Mystical Heaven Sect are from the lower three sections. So each time our disciples meet them, we all feel lacking and get picked on. Yeah, and that time 60 years ago was the worst. In that fight, us four worked together and were even winning. Only for Scrooge Demon to break formation for some demonic treasure, and we ended up losing instead. That's why sect leader threw us in the Thunderswarm Mountain for all these years. It could have even been a century. Sly Demon turned to Scrooge Demon glared and barked. Old Third, I thought we said we'd never bring this up. Why are you talking about it? To pick a fight. Bam! Scrooge Demon sucker punched Sly Demon, who punched back, of course, and it all degenerated into a scuffle. Right there in the air, Fan took it in stride as he asked, since Mystical Heaven Sect and us are in the lower three sects, weaker than them, what is Mystical Heaven Sect doing, still fighting over a herb? Steward, you don't know, but while we're not up to Demon Soul Sect's level, we're Tianyu's three guardian sects, all brothers. Heaven Trailing Sect from the middle three sects is our boss covering for us. So as long as nothing grave happens, the Demon Soul Sect wouldn't openly challenge us two sects either, or Heaven Trailing Sect will be bound to step in. As both are middle three sects, fighting each other would be the worst scenario. Violent Demon grinned, Fan exclaimed inside. He got it now. Demon Scheming Sect and Mystical Heaven Sect were Heaven Trailing Sect's little bros. With a big bro, keeping another middle three sect from swallowing them, everyone was one big happy family. When they went to mess with the Beast Taming Sect with the three Elder Souls, I bet all three of the sect participated. Or why the hell would the Baron Xuanrong hand over such a fertile stretch for Tuoba Taizhan and company? I reckon Beast Taming Sect felt the pressure of the three sects on it and had no choice in the matter. The Xuanrong Emperor saw the Beast Taming Sect agreeing, so he added one more condition, to get Tuoba Taizhan back home as well. He had to get something out of this loss thus. The three sects nabbed that fertile stretch of land. No wonder in the days of young Sanzi's chaos around Tianyu, the Empire's three guardian sects passed the blame. They wanted nothing to do with it. As long as the borders held, they didn't give a flying hoot about Tianyu's politics that had Zhuo Fan smiling. The sects extorted the Empire of resources, yet didn't even raise a helping hand. On the other hand, only their indifference led to the former emperor's plan to work. Zhuo Fan sighed, following the four pygmies who were always fighting, ever quarreling. This was how the five flew to the Demon Scheming Sect. 2 weeks later, at dawn, 5 dots trailed the sky. Steward Zhuo, we're here. That's the entrance. Violent Demon pointed at some dark spot in the woods below. All Zhuo Fan saw was trees and more trees. Oh, and some random beasts as well. It wasn't hard to understand why. Demon Scheming Sect was hiding behind a barrier whoosh. The 5 figures landed before the trees, with the pygmies making some signs with fluctuations of space and the shouts of the 4. The space in front of them twisted. A mighty tall mountain appeared up ahead, with them at its foot. But this view rippled about like a pool of water. Zhuo Fan knew it to be the entrance, and waltzed right in. He was now in a whole new world, with thick spiritual energy, as much as 10 times thicker than outside, a secluded sect indeed, and the perfect place to cultivate. Zhuo Fan gasped then. A voice with an attitude slammed into their ears. Who dares to breach Demon Scheming Sect entrance? Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Whoosh! Something trailed the sky like a cold star, shooting for Zhuo Fan. He took a step back to look up. A blade brushed his nose, followed by a soft wrist quick to react. Zhuo Fan grabbed the hand, only to hear a charming cry as the elegant owner revealed herself. It was an 18-year-old girl with shining eyes, flawless eyebrows, and innocent looks. Though those mesmerizing eyes flashed with chilling murder intent, a demonic sect disciple indeed, so young and so psychotic. Squinting, the seasoned Zhuo Fan saw through her on the spot, yet shook his head. Walking the secular world, he had seen Luo Yunchang's kindness, Ningner's innocence, Qingqing's righteousness, and Shuanger's mercy. Now that he was back among his people, among demons, he found himself out of place seeing this girl. He recalled the first time he ever entered a demonic sect as well, the cruelty and blatant ruthlessness to everything mortal he came to borrow in his very nature, as if his sole purpose on this God's green earth was to wreck it. Demons were born and died in the heart. Having seen the wonders of the world, it had a negative effect on his demonic nature. Or more aptly put, it transformed, growing to a whole new level, clueless as to how high. All he knew was that he had a steadier heart than even the past demonic emperor. Ha! Newborn chick, you've just stepped into the demonic sect, and so you challenge an eagle. The young sure are filled with ambition. A shame you're far from being an eagle. Clang! Zhuo Fan twisted her hand behind her, making her grimace. She swished her head back at him, but never made a peep. Only gnashing her teeth, Fan raised an eyebrow. She sure is obstinate. The girl then twisted her body, dislocating her shoulder with a crack. Her other hand sported a short blade and drove it towards Fan. Fan was shocked. This lass is the quintessence of the demonic path. She's just like me back in the day. A kind of empathy grew in Fan's heart. The girl had the same cultivation as him, but that was where the resemblance stopped. Fan's soul was tougher than a radiant stage expert. There was no way for her to catch him off guard, not while he used his soul to scan her every movement, yet Fan didn't mind giving her a freebie snicked. The short blade plunged into Fan's chest. The girl lit up and beamed. You're happy over something like this? Getting overconfident over a fluke leaves one wide open for a sudden death, a mistake common in youngsters. The girl cried suddenly and found Fan smiling back with no anger in his voice. The girl was startled. He's strange. What's he smiling about despite me stabbing him? Did he do it on purpose? No way. No one's that stupid. One thing was certain, though. The blade did nothing to him. So she pulled it out to try again, this time going for Fan's throat. Cease at once. The bark announced 4 trails of smoke coming into the sect, then reforming in front of the girl, watching Fan get stabbed by the girl. The 4 scheming demons were about to tear her into 4. Fan shouted, "You stop. Let her go." Pot. The girl slammed the ground hard. Watching the 4 angry faces in the smoke with Day's violent demon glared at her. Damn brat. You dare kill inside demon scheming sect? Who put you up to this? Who are you? Why did you open the demon scheming sect's barrier? The girl frowned, yet there was no fear in her features. Fan admired her. The girl has some backbone. The 4 gave a creepy laughter and violent demon mocked. Hi, Missy, you sure are ignorant. We are the demonic cultivator hero quartet, having roamed the lands for years. Everyone knows us. Everyone fears us. Well, I don't know. How could the demon scheming sect have someone like you? So shady, so shifty, and so creepy. The girl snorted. The 4 scheming demons exploded in rage. Hey, broad, want to see yourself without mouth? To hell with it. That'll be too easy for her. Let's tear her into 4. No 8. No 16. No 100. The 4 scheming demons went back to arguing over the girl's execution method when a giggle came. Oh, the 4 executives. Why are you quarreling at the door? Do you want to have an elder throw you in that lightning prison again, forever? Ugh. The 4 became deathly quiet as they saw a lady in her 30s, seductive and spruced up like a cougar. The girl cried at her appearance. Senior sister, they're actually one of us? Didn't you say you don't know them? Ha ha ha, silly girl. These were demon scheming sects, wildly renowned, 4 scheming demons who once shook the world with their names. They only came back not long ago and became executives. You were still in seclusion at the time, training in demon-devouring saber. The lady interrupted with a giggle. The 4 scheming demons saw her buttering them up. They chuckled as well, sticking out their chins in immense pride. Fan, though, grinned for a different reason. The girl grumbled, is demon scheming sect so empty to even have these weirdos become executives? Hey, I resent that. Think I won't tear you a new one? Violent demon snapped. Fan patted his shoulder. Miss is just blunt, so let it go. Since I am new, why don't you introduce me to these lovely ladies? The 4 scheming demons jerked and watched Fan with a quirky look. When did Steward become so interested in women? Having no choice, they complied with a laugh. I never thought I'd hear Steward say that. All right, Humayer, tend a great Steward. Violent demon snickered at the lady. The girl had a hard glare for them as she reprimanded. Sex rules forbids affairs. You 4 know this fully well. I'll be reporting you to the sect leader, so await your punishment. Hey, Missy, I find tearing your mouth off more and more appealing. Violent demon cracked his knuckles, only to have Fan stop him. Fan said flatly, Miss, I'm a new disciple and only wish to make some new friends. I have no other meaning. All the girl did was huff, while Humayer was very friendly, taking Fan's hand with tenderness and tracing her hand in his long white hair. A new disciple. It must have been so hard for you out there in the wild to have white hair at such a young age. You must be traumatized. I'm okay. Zhua Fan smiled, whom Mayor's hands roamed over him more and more, in clear disregard. But now that you're here, I will take good care of you. You don't have to worry about anything. Thank you, senior sister. Zhua Fan smiled, his heart a rock. Violent demon giggled. Who, Mayor? He is in your care, so you better not neglect him. I could never have the heart to forget such a cute junior brother. Patting Zhua Fan's cheek, she giggled. But why are you calling him Steward Zhua? Is that his name, Guanjia? Smiley face, with how Steward Zhua is made up of 3 characters. As often Chinese names are, she took the title as part of his name, Zhua Guanjia. No, I have only been a clan steward before this. Zhua Fan smiled. My name is Zhua Fan. Who Mayor nodded. Zhua Fan, outstanding and amazing. What good name. Smiley face, she uses name to make an idiom. Of course, Steward Zhua is an almighty hero that sect leader has personally invited. He is, at the very least, an elite, a future sect leader. A good name is a given. Violent Demon laughed with his head back, like he had picked the name, but Mayor blushed while her eyes glinted. As for the junior miss, she sat on the ground with an arm limp by her side, ignoring everything. Even the next sect leader, she just tried assassinating if Zhua Fan were to be Xiao Yue's successor. Her future was destined to be bleak. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Mayor's eyes spun, and she giggled while asking Violent Demon, executives don't tease. Inner disciples have to be in the radiant stage, at the very least, to say nothing of elite disciples. While junior brother here, you're looking down on our Steward Zhua? Violent Demon laughed. Steward Zhua is so otherworldly that no common sense can describe him. The way I see it, even being an elite is a waste. He's better off working as executive from the start. No. That is beneath Steward Zhua's talents. He should be an elder. Sly Demon sucked up Wimp Demon threw in his 2 cents. Elder won't do either. Venerable is more like it. What venerable? Just make Xiao Weiyue retire, and have him become sect leader already. The 4 scheming demons got rowdier and more obnoxious while Mayor's cheeks twitched, something seriously wrong with their heads. She had long since heard of their illustrious infamy. I won't get anything about the kid out of these weirdos. Then again, with how they suck up to the kid and treat him with such respect, he must have deep ties in the sect. Mayor eyed the ever-cool Zhua Fan, unfazed by the 4's outrageous display like a well whose waters never ended. Miss, what might be your name? Zhua Fan turned to the girl. She only spared him a glance, then huffed ha ha ha. Mayor giggled. Junior brother Zhua, she is an outer disciple with the same cultivation as you, in the 6th layer of profound heaven stage. She will be your senior sister. It's best if you get along. Ha ha ha. Where? Zhua Fan raised an eyebrow, then picked up the discarded short blade. The curved weapon was 4th grade demonic treasure, bearing the name of the moon and wielding a full moon blade. How fitting. Yuer just glared, yet she was caught by surprise as Zhua Fan traced her neck with her weapon, widening her eyes. Yuer could not dodge because of the heavy wound she had. Mayor was startled as well to learn that a new disciple would raise his hand at a fellow disciple. The 4 scheming demons snickered. They never tried stopping Steward Zhua's actions. Not like they could. Besides, it wasn't like sect leader would cry over the death of some nobody outer disciple. He wouldn't have invited Zhua Fan just to lash out at him, no. The glinting blade reflected Yuer's panicked eyes. But her will never wavered, relentless even in the face of death whoosh. The blade stopped just shy of her skin. She still felt its sharp edge. Being on the brink of death, gulp. Yuer looked around nervously at Zhua Fan. Her very first time looking in the eye, what was revealed was a twisted and insidious smile. Letting go of the blade, Zhua Fan laughed. Lass, your sneaky attack had me frightened. Now I've returned the favor, and we're even. Ha ha ha. Steward Zhua, she has hurt you, and yet you're letting her go with just a scare? Violent Demon glanced at the blood on Zhua Fan's chest. Zhua Fan shook his hand. I just got here and seen your sister Yuer, and I only exchanged greetings. You better not go snitching to sect leader either. Forget this ever happened. Yes, sir. The 4 scheming demons shrugged and cupped their hands. Mayor, was even more startled. These four weren't just looking after the kid, but are his lackeys. Is he some venerable's heir? Whom Mayor sized Joa fan harder. Junior brother Joa is mighty and grand, just like father. When did you see my old man? Joa fan snickered inside, knowing fully well that she was playing with him. So he gave a vague answer. Senior sister Mayor is too kind. But since you mentioned father, I remember him telling me that the sect has a disciple called who is thoughtful and kind. He must have meant you, Senior Sister Mayor. He always said having Senior Sister Mayor tending to me is the utmost bliss. Ugh. The four scheming demons looked at him oddly. When did he have a dad, and why didn't we hear of him? And since he knows who Mayor, is he perhaps in the sect? Who Mayor was stunned. He must have backing, but whose? While she wanted to dig further, Joa fan cut their meeting short with a bow. We should be going now to meet sect leader. Farewell. Here, Senior Sister Yuer. Joa fan handed her the curved blade, and Yuer took it with a cold glare. Joa fan and the four pygmies left who Mayor alone with her doubts. Go tend to your wounds. Senior Sister has some matters to tend to. Who Mayor was gone the next second. Yuer nodded and sighed, putting on a hurtful look like a kicked puppy, while Joa fan and the four mini-demons passed by many great buildings. Violent Demon asked puzzled, Steward Joa, you just gonna let that girl go after hurting you? Or should we look for a chance to waste her? Ha ha ha, you better not. I just like the last character. Just like me back when I stepped on the demonic path, blunt like a birch stump. Joa fan snickered. As they say, the fool strikes while the wise talks. Where might be the one who attacked, but I knew from a glance that she was oblivious to everything, ending up being used. It was the late arrival, Mayor, who came to mediate and to loosen my tongue. If we'd not leave the matter at that, she'd have killed us all. Joa fan breathed in. For scheming demons. Did anyone else know about my coming to demon scheming sect? Why was someone after me the instant I got here? Well, the four scheming demons shook their heads, and Violent Demon shrugged. That's normal. Demon scheming sect's competitiveness is ruthless. And since we're a demonic sect, it goes double for its disciple. You know it very well, how cruel our methods are, using others' souls and flesh to practice skills. Where are we supposed to get the raw material? Going after other sects will blow in our face and lead to war. Only by weeding out the weak and making them our furnace can the elite be born. Losing here means death. Right. We only succeeded to train in our unity tactical because we used 999 disciple souls. That's how we can turn a smoke. Sly Demon bobbed his head. No one knew better than Joa fan just how cruel and twisted the demonic path was. The loser went through hell while the winner had everything, standing above everyone. Siavua must have leaked it on purpose to get the disciples' attention fixed on me. Humayer just now was sizing his potential. Whether to take him out or not, a tough backing didn't absolve one of attacks. It only made the enemy more cautious when he acted. While having no one behind him at all would make anyone attack him on the spot, to nip him in the bud, Joa fan snickered. You'll have another thing coming if some hatchlings on the demonic path can trick me. Once yours truly becomes an elite disciple, you'll all fall in line. Is that the disciple sect leader recruited? Deep in the forest of a cloudy, weathered peak, a figure scoffed at the five of them. Sixth layer of profound heaven stage. So average. Yet sect leader not only recruited him, but even used a 9th grade pill. Mayor sighed from behind him, with equal disdain. That fool is quite interesting. It was Yuer who stabbed him, yet he took the first step in putting the matter behind them. And from his tone, his father must be someone high up in the sect. Hi. He's just like a prodigal son, naive and innocent, unlike a demonic cultivator. Pulling strings to get in? Sect leader isn't that immoral. The man's eyes glinted, his smile cold. Or maybe he has a nice talent to catch sect leader's attention. Oh, what about his fight with Yuer? Second senior brother. He is weak as a bug. He did break Yuer's arm, but she stabbed his chest. His win is marginal. That means his strength is nothing special, typical of a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator. Second senior brother rubbed his chin. Let's wait for the sect leader's decision. Making him an inner disciple with the sect leader's personal instructions will mean he has outstanding talent, and he is a threat to us. If he's put with the outer disciples, he must have plenty of connections. Sect leader and the venerable must have reached a secret agreement. Humayr broke into an enchanting smile, her eyes taunting. The little guy looked so pure, dumber than even Uer. Sect leader has no time for his kind. The latter has a much higher probability. My thoughts exactly. Second senior brother had a wide grin. Laughing along with Humayr, the five finally arrived at the sect's grand hall, where sect leader along with venerables and elders were present. Violent demon eyed the closed doors with a smile. He didn't get to report their arrival when the doors opened to reveal a middle-aged man with a pencil mustache. The four scheming demons bowed. Elder Yao. In. He nodded and turned to Zhuofan. Are you the new disciple, Zhuofan? I am. Zhuofan gave a respectful reply. By the order of the sect leader, Zhuofan is to enter the labor office. You'll be a labor disciple. Take him away. Elder Yao left them speechless. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Laborer. Zhuofan's eyes twitched as all five shouted the word with dull and incredulous faces. Tianyu's finest steward, the demonic emperor, head of the 8 emperors in sacred domain, came to your sect to be a laborer. Xia Wuyue, get the hell out. I promise not to kill you much. You wasted a 9th grade pill just to get a slave? Zhuofan's face twisted into a grimace. Violent demon panicked. Elder Yao, that can't be right. Steward Zhuo is versed in letters and martial arts. How can a rare genius end up as a laborer? No mistake, these are the sect leader's orders. Now, take him to his post. His work begins tomorrow. Elder Yao eyed them coldly, then slammed the doors, almost catching violent demon in between, shrugging helplessly. The 4 pygmies side. Zhuofan held his head, unable to come to terms with his new reality. Just what the hell is Xia Wuyue up to? Planning so hard to get him, only to work his ass doing housework. Are you that short on staff that you'll throw a 9th grade pill as incentive? While in the forest, second senior brother and Humayr were just as speechless. Second senior brother. No matter how average he may be, he is still in the profound heaven stage. He's good enough to become an outer disciple, so why punish him by throwing him in the labor office? He just got here and hasn't stepped on anyone's toes. Humayr was puzzled. Second senior brother frowned. Then his eyes lit up. Maybe. Do you know something? Humayr asked. Senior brother mocked. It's just like junior sister said. He pulled strings to get here. As you very well know, for any disciple to join, he needs 2 people's vetting, sect leader and high venerable. With high venerable's upright and fair nature, he follows the sect's rules to the letter, especially in the case of prodigal sons using their dads to squeeze their way in. He hates their guts, and ever since the defeat at the last Double Dragon gathering, his mood has been even worse. There's a high chance sect leader and that venerable's deal got found out, so they reached a new agreement. The kid can enter, but not as an elite, and cannot participate in the Double Dragon gathering. No laborer is good for anything, and they'd be soon taken out just after entering the sect. They're useless. That takes care of him then. Humayr giggled at the other's misfortune. Second senior brother shook his head. I don't think so. If he'd come here just to die, there's no way the one behind him would have agreed. I reckon it was all to give him time to grow in power and become an elder or venerable the sect needs, and he'll get all the resources he wants. While anyone from the labor office can't become an elite disciple, there's nothing to say being an elder or venerable isn't possible. For this reason, High Venerable butted in, to stop wastrels from dragging back the elites and to avoid a single dominant clan to form inside the sect. Humayr nodded in understanding, then batted her big, charming eyes. Should we keep an eye on him for longer? What for? Ha ha ha, since his chance to become elite is shot and he can't join the Double Dragon gathering, he's no threat to us. Just let him be, waiting in the labor office for the time his backer makes him an elder. Second senior brother left in joy, having one roadblock cleared. Humayr gave Zhuofan one last look, but sneered before following the second senior brother. They had no interest in some wastrel, whose only redeeming quality was some backer. They only had disdain for him. If it weren't for this, they might have risen to be in the middle three sects in the last Double Dragon gathering. Outside the hall, Joie Fan and the pygmy sat on the stairs, like an adult reprimanding four naughty children while enjoying some fresh air. Joie Fan entered a thinker, posed the four demons copied him. For scheming demons, give it to me straight. What's a laborer in the sect? Not high, probably. Joie Fan raised an eyebrow, gnashing his teeth. Violent demon began. Labor office is the sect jail for unredeemable criminals. Once you go in, you'll never get out. No matter what trouble we used to make, the most was that we got sent to Thunderswarm Mountain. Is a disciple's grave. The disciples who failed the entrance test end up here, getting no resources and wasting their lives away until they die of old age. Someone yearning for power always appears now and then, and through grueling dedication to cultivate, they would become elders upon reaching Radiant Stage as a reward for their willpower. With stewards rejoining them, you'd have no trouble becoming an elder on account of your talents. Wimp Demon consoled, he only earned a cuff from Violent Demon. You moron, Steward Joie is to be a sect leader, not some executive like us. That's a waste of talent. The other three didn't join the fight and actually nodded. For the first time ever, Wimp Demon had no resentment, giving Joie Fan looks of pity to him. Joie Fan was a true cultivator of the demonic way. It was then that the faint crack in the open doors of the hall shut tight. The insides were lavish and opulent, with braziers raging bright light over the wealth in two neat rows. In the center sat the imposing Xiaoyue on an exquisite jade throne. Looking down on the hall, Elder Yao came in with a bow. Sect leader, I have sent the kid to the labor office, as you ordered. Good. You may leave. Yes, sir. Elder Yao bowed as he walked backward as the hall became empty. Xiao turned to the seat next to him, who had a just as grand person seated on it. High Venerable, are you satisfied? Such a talent thrown into labor. Humph. Now all our hopes to win in the next Double Dragon gathering are crushed. Sect leader cares much about him, but I find it hard to second that emotion and would rather watch him from the shadows. Just what kind of junior could get Sir Sect leader to use even a 9th grade pill to draw him into the sect? With a hum, the large seat sported a figure in gray, clothes Xiao aside. Those wastrels must have given you quite the scare, High Venerable, for you to go against even my candidate for Double Dragon Gathering. But you are wrong. I'm just like you, aspiring for the Double Dragon Gathering, and would let no one stop me in achieving it. I want to become the greatest sect leader the demon scheming sect has ever seen. As his eyes flashed, Xia Wuyue's mighty aura exploded. High Venerable nodded. Wuyue, you've been to the last Double Dragon Gathering and know of our humiliating defeat. I've never doubted your conviction to win, but to let a kid, not even in the Radiant Stage, become an elite disciple is something I can't do. Ah, it's fine. The kid is no mere shining gemstone, and you'll see it in time. He has every right to be the pillar holding us all in the Double Dragon Gathering. Laughing, Xiaoyue walked away from his throne. High Venerable watched him go with a mutter. No one has ever garnered such praise from Wuyue. Is the kid that amazing? Impermanence 5, what do you think? 5 elderly figures appeared around High Venerable. When the kid used the sending jade to request for help, Wuyue wanted to send someone else, but I vouched for you. Also, I could have you check him out if he's worthy to be an elite. Well, High Venerable asked Elder, she replied. High Venerable, we did lend Luo clan our aid, and even with the short time around the kid, we did manage to pick up on his sharp mind and wisdom, just like our sect leader. He has a vaulting ambition and is the sole decisive figure. He is manipulative to an extent even the sect leader can't be. Oh, so he's a tough one. High Venerable nodded. Here I thought he was soft and can't hold his own. That makes Wuyue's evaluation trustworthy. When we captured beast-taming sect's elders, one of them had no body. After a summary questioning, we found out that his vessel got destroyed by that kid. Elder, she continued. High Venerable cried out, What? Is he not a profound heaven cultivator? How did he destroy an ethereal stage expert's body? Ha ha ha. Those three experts were so dumb that they fell for his every trick. But for a kid to have three experts dance in his palm, with one getting heavily injured, now that's talent. Elder, she smiled, high venerable pondered, elder, she resumed. Does her remember those four scheming demons, the twerps? Those mavericks had no control, no amount of punishment worked on them, always doing what the heck they wanted. Thus sect leader has no choice but to throw them in Thunder Swarm Mountain. Yet now they've shown up with smoother edges, especially around Joafan. The thought of going against his orders never crossed their minds, and they even stood up for him. Elder Yin noticed that the kid has the charm of a ruler, drawing people towards him. He may be the person Sir's been searching for. Shuddering, High Venerable eyed the five as they nodded. His eyes glinted. Perhaps I ought to test the kid, huh? That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.